I'm Frank Gifford, along with O.J. Simpson and Don Meredith. The Minnesota Vikings have lost the toss. They will be kicking off. Keith Griffin has dropped for the Washington Redskins. Jan Stenerud, at 42 years old, having a superb year, will get things underway. And there is a look at Keith Griffin, the rookie out of Miami, who has been filling in of recent for an ailing John Riggins. Set to go, a game the Washington Redskins feel they must win if they are going to qualify for the playoffs. Keith Griffin from the 1-yard line. Griffin with a big opening and out over the 30-yard line, where he is lassoed there and dropped at about the 33-yard line. And out comes Joe Theismann, last year's most valuable player in the National Football League. For this season, those are the numbers. He had a big game, perhaps his finest, against Buffalo a week ago. And as we see now, Keith Griffin will start for John Riggins. John Riggins, off and on over the past few weeks, suffering from a bad back at the age of 35 years old. We watched him work out. He did appear as if he could go if he were needed. The Washington Redskins near their own 32-yard line. Down and 10. Art Monk is having a tremendous late season for the Redskins. He's in motion. Theismann looking deep. Why not? Why not? Calvin Mohammed splits a pair of defenders, and the very first play of the ball game, 68-yard touchdown, and the crowd almost stunned. Now he erupts in a chorus of boos. The Minnesota Vikings, of course, 3-10 on the year. They've dropped their last 3, 8 of their last 9. They're struggling with injuries. Let's look at the former Raider, Calvin Mohammed. Great speed.
There's no reason to mess around. They're going to just go ahead and get it.
There was nothing fancy about it. Theismann threw the ball before he passed Carl Lee or Tommy Hanna. Just aired it out, and Calvin Mohammed went and got it.
I love it. The offensive coordinator, Jerry Rome, stopped by and said, well, we'll throw underneath for a while, really, and bring them up, and then we'll draw the blitz, and then we'll go deep.
Yeah, then we're going to go deep. He also had some really good things to say about Calvin Mohammed, who he thinks is really a terrific receiver.
Theismann places it down, and Mosley, one of the last of a dying breed, the straightaway kicker, splits the uprights, and our referee for tonight, Bob McElwee, gives you the indication, and with one offensive play, the Redskins have struck. We'll be back in a moment. If you did, you saw in the very first offensive play, you missed the pass from Theismann to Calvin Mohammed, 68-yard touchdown. Now Jeff Hayes handles the kickoff chores for the Washington Redskins, set to get things underway once again. Darren Nelson, number 20, is back with Alfred Anderson, a surprisingly talented rookie out of Baylor. But this will be Darren Nelson. And Nelson up to about the 19-yard line, where we will watch the offensive unit of the Minnesota Vikings come on. They'll be led by Wade Wilson tonight. Tommy Kramer unavailable because of a shoulder problem that he hurt several weeks ago, re-injured 3 weeks ago. So we'll watch Wade Wilson. He's starting his second consecutive game. He went all the way last week in a loss to Chicago. The 12 of 31, no touchdowns, a couple of interceptions. The offensive line may have been ravaged by the injury bug that is prevalent around the NFL this season. They have many people that we'll try to tell you who they are, but they have been bringing players in and out throughout this entire season. First down and 10, and Wade Wilson goes to the air. Blitz was on. Wilson gets it off and in and out of the hands of Steve Jordan, and he was really hammered by number 77, Darrell Grant, who was right in Wilson's face. We'll look at the four-man front of the Washington Redskins, and Monty Coleman, a good pass rusher, has replaced an injured Mel Coffin, and there is the secondary. The two safeties, they're playing very well. Curtis Jordan for Mark Murphy, and Ken Coffey for an injured Tony Peters. And there is the youngest coach in the NFL in his first season. He's learning the hard way this year. Les Steckel.
Say the least.
Second down and 10. And Wade Wilson found Darren Nelson in an opening, in and out of Darren Nelson's hands. It'll be third down and 10. And here is Joe Gibbs, a remarkable record, now in his fourth season. He's been to the last couple of Super Bowls. And he followed the 82 season with the Super Bowl win, and the 83 season last year with a loss to the Raiders. But this year, at 8-5, he has lost more games than he did in the combined playoffs and regular season of 82 and 83. He says every week is a new deal. He's talking primarily of injuries. Third down and 10, Darren Nelson, single setback as Wade Manning is back once again. Look out. Here comes Wade Wilson. I think I called him Wade Manning. but he is far short of the first down. We'll see the punting unit as Tony McGee made the stop, and there is Archie Manning. I think perhaps still a little shell shock from a game in which he played against the Bears several weeks ago when he was sacked 11 times in a single game.
It was once upon a time he was one of the great scramblers in football, and they may need him in the game exhibiting that ability before this one is over.
Talked to him just before the game. He is ready to go if need be, but I think, quite frankly, Les Steckel wants Wade Wilson in there because he's a little more maneuverable, and you saw Greg Coleman say, I need another cat out here. Give me some help. 10 won't do it. So he gets another player, and we're set to go. Holden averaging a little over 41 yards per kick. This one up in the air. Mike Nelms looks it over and lets it bound, and it does take a Minnesota bounce inside the 25-yard line. John Riggins, we don't know whether we'll see him tonight. He played briefly last week against Buffalo. Again, the back has been bothering him for several weeks. We'll see much more of him, I know, later in the season, and perhaps and probably the playoffs.
Greatest running back, let's be fair, O.J. Simpson. The rest don't compare.
Yeah.
I wondered what he was doing this afternoon, didn't you?
Well, it didn't cost me that much. I pay those guys for that.
Different Walter Payton, he comes very close if he doesn't compare.
It's amazing what a couple of $100 will do around here.
That's right.
Set to go, the Redskins. Now their second possession of the ball. They use one play for a 68-yard touchdown shot to Calvin Muhammad. First down just inside their own 25-yard line, going against a very weak Minnesota defense that has also been hurt by injuries. That's Keith Griffin, the rookie out of Miami. He's piled up. Gets about a yard out of it. Tell you a little bit about that defensive unit of the Minnesota Vikings. It's changed considerably from the days of the Purple People Eaters. Doug Martin, perhaps the best pass rusher, and he is playing on a very sore ankle and knee. The defense itself is last in the National Football League, 27th against the rush, 25th against the pass. They've had only 8 interceptions. That matches Detroit for the fewest in the NFL. They've had 20 sacks. That is the fewest in the NFL. So perhaps the Redskins were licking their chops when they came into the Metrodome tonight. This is a stats game, some of them can think. But as long as they don't become too complacent, they should not be in trouble. Theismann to Muck. And Muck, who's had a tremendous past 4 games, gets out of the 30 to the 31-yard line. Short of the first down. Dropped there by Tommy Hannon. It'll be 3rd down and 3 for the Redskins.
Scott Studwell has had a good year, Frank. You know, you look on a team that's only won 3 ball games, and somebody's got to be doing something out there. Scott's a good middle linebacker in the middle. But they have been hurt a lot, as a lot of teams have, with those injuries. Hey, they've got them in the 3rd down, though, situation. They stopped them twice.
Also move that secondary around. Joey Browner has gone from free safety to the corner. 3rd down, long 3. Jeff Moore, number 30, good receiver out of the backfield in there for Theismann. All right. Theismann looking deep again, and this time it was Calvin Muhammad who just did not hold on, or he could have had 6 more.
Well, actually, if Joe would have thrown the ball down the middle of the football field, I think Calvin would have had another touchdown.
Yeah, threw it through him, didn't he?
Yeah.
Working against Willie Teal, perhaps the best defensive back for this Minnesota Viking team, but he had arthroscopic surgery on the knee October the 8th. He's played very little, so he'll get an exercise tonight. Not a whole lot of respect for recovering football players in the NFL. Jeff Hayes to punt. Darren Nelson has dropped for the Vikings. First round drafted out of Stanford a couple of years ago. Had a spectacular career there. Good return man. That's been his basic contribution this year to the Vikings. 11:47 remaining in the first quarter, and the Redskins striking on their very first offensive play, lead 7-0. Theismann to Calvin Muhammad. There he goes. He'll do this. He's done it in past games that we've watched. Jeff Hayes has the first down to the 45-yard line, and it was about a year ago we watched him do the exact same thing to the San Diego Chargers when he went 48 yards.
That's got to really make them upset, right?
Yeah, take a look at the right side of your screen. They're definitely trying to block the punt, and they just committed themselves a little too soon, and Hayes been a heads-up ball player. He's got outside of the containment and gains, I would say, about 30 yards here.
He'll pick up the first down. He's at the Viking 45-yard line on a scamper of 24 yards. The Redskins maintaining possession.
How demoralizing that must be to the Vikes.
Well, the Vikes haven't been looking 2 heads up thus far.
Calvin Muhammad.
He did one hit.
They're both split to the right. Theismann looks upfield and dumps it off to Griffin. And Griffin, who's had trouble handling the football all year, loses it. Charlie Johnson popping Keith Griffin. The ball came loose, and the youngster from Miami, he's fumbled more times than anyone in the NFL. He's had 99 handles, and he's topped it up 5 times.
They're a little concerned about that in last week's game. He had 3 fumbles, and that would appear to be just about the only way they could lose this tonight.
It's compounded by the fact that John Regan seldom fumbles, and Griffin is in there for him. There's a loss of a couple. It'll be second down and 12.
The Viking fans are going to say, come on now, fumble, fumble. Look out.
Theismann trying to get it to Rick Walker. That one could have been picked off.
That really could have. I think Joe would like to have had that one back. Vikings play a lot of those zones, so they get back in those deep areas. And from a quarterback standpoint, sometimes it's hard to judge just how close they are. They're not playing the receivers, but they're just playing an area.
You know, in every pattern that they've run to the left side over there, they've run one receiver on a hitch pattern where he goes about 5 yards and stops. On that play, they had Calvin Muhammad standing over there all alone.
All alone in blue.
Third down and 12. Hartmont splits out to the left.
No one tell you trouble.
Setback is Jeff Moore. Works well on the pass out of the backfield. That's Charlie Brown. Recently activated. Number 87. Oh, Studwell doesn't hold on. He had the interception. He was starting to run with it. And it'll bring up 4th down.
Well, now.
Not too bad.
Not too bad and right. I bet you somebody's going to watch Jeff Hayes this time. What do you think? Now, he wouldn't run now. He's got too long to go. Sure.
Darren Nelson drops once again. There will be the contained man. You better believe the special teams coach had a word with his unit. There should always be a contained man. 10:36 remaining in the first quarter. Jeff Hayes puts one up. Darren Nelson calls for the fair catch at the 15-yard line. So Minnesota will get the football back deep in their own territory. 30-yard punt by Jeff Hayes. And we'll be back in the Metrodome in just one moment. That's where they have known so many great seasons. And, of course, they have lost so many great players over the past 3 or 4 years. They have a first down and 10 to the Minnesota Vikings. The ball at their own 15-yard line. Albert Anderson in motion, but this is Darren Nelson, and down goes Darren Nelson. Hit there first by Monty Coleman. And then Darrell Green comes up to make the stop. Neil Okowitz also on the stop, moving out from his middle linebacker position, right at the line of scrimmage. No gain.
Well, what Les Steckel would like to do is try to establish a running game and control the ball and keep Washington's offense off the football field. It's going to be pretty difficult to do because the Redskins are rated 3rd in all of the NFL in stopping the run. And
second down and 10. Wade Wilson out of East Texas State. Look out, Wade. When he just does get off. Pressure is on. Intended for Darren Nelson, but Monty Coleman, the leader in sacks for these Redskins, are right behind Dexter Manley. Coleman from the linebacker position has 9.5 sacks coming in tonight. Manley has 10.5. And the Redskins have broken their own team record for sacks. They have 55 into tonight.
They almost had 56. You get a good look there at Wade Wilson. He hasn't played much, as you said, Frank. He's out of East Texas State over at Commerce. He's a Commerce boy. Grew up about 40 miles from Mount Vernon. He can't be all bad.
Last year, he only played in one game, starting the finale against Cincinnati. It was not spectacular. Third down and 10.
Now look at those.
A lot of time, but no receivers. Darren Nelson finally.
Good move.
And Nelson out to the 20-yard line, 5 yards short, however, the first down, and we'll see the punting unit, hopefully 11 of them on the field for the Vikings.
Because Wade Wilson has what you referred to, Don, last week as nervous feet.
They're dancing back out there, aren't they? It's funny. Frank was talking earlier last week when he came in. They were just, the Bears were really giving him a hard time. He came over and wanted to know, says, hey, Coach, anybody got any track shoes around here? I think he told the offensive line, miss them quick.
There's Mike Nelms. Not having a great year, but he is a dangerous return man. One of his great attributes is he seldom ever fumbles the football. Greg Coleman hammers one low. That'll take Mike Nelms back to the 30-yard line. Fine running by Mike Nelms. He's out over the 40-yard line. Will be first down Redskins. A 52-yard punt by Greg Coleman. Joe Gibbs. Final instructions to Joe Theismann. 8:42 remaining in the first quarter. The Redskins on top, 7-5. Washington Redskins tied with the Giants and Dallas in the NFC Eastern Division. Bring it up to the line of scrimmage. The ball at the 41-yard line. The Redskins on top, 7-0 over the Minnesota Vikings. There it is. That's going to be an aerial night. Pass is complete for first down yardage. And it goes out to Calvin Muhammad once again, who is terrorizing Willie Teal over in that right side defensively for the Minnesota Vikings.
As I mentioned in the first two series, even on the first play to Calvin Muhammad, Art Monk ran that pattern, and I think they can run that all night. They can get 5 yards on first down all night because evidently there's not much speed in this Viking secondary.
Joe Washington is in. Number 25 is the setback. He'll work the left side. Just activated Wednesday, and he looks as though he's at full form because he has been hurt. Actually, that's Keith Griffin.
Well, it could have been.
They did activate Joe Washington this past Wednesday, and I'm sure we'll be watching him this evening just to get used to the combat a little bit because he's been out for many weeks now. Missed 9 games.
You know, besides Griffin having his fumbles, he's had a couple of pretty good days. 92 yards last week and 114 yards the week before. He's a decent running back.
First down and 10. 35-yard line of the Vikings. Keith Griffin, right side to the 30-yard line. Gain of about 5. It'll be second down and 5. John Stenerud, boy, he's had a tremendous year up here. 19 of 22. He hasn't missed them inside the 45-yard line. 42 years old a week ago in his 19th season. Just remarkable.
3 out of 4 from 50 plus.
And they said he was over the hill last year.
That's Art Monk, number 81 in motion. Settles in the slot. Keith Griffin, left side once again. Griffin in the arms of Dennis Johnson. And Griffin had a yard short of a first down. 3-10 record. They are sold out here, and so many of them are on hand. It is a very wintry night. A whole lot like Christmas up here. Snow is on the ground. The temperature is dropping into the 20s tonight. Griffin, a couple of yards short of the first down. It'll be third down and 2. Charlie Brown comes into the lineup to join Art Monk and Calvin Muhammad as wide receivers. Charlie Brown activated a little over a week ago. That's Charlie Brown, number 87 in motion. Kaiser finds Charlie Brown. He'll have the first down near the 21-yard line. Carl Lee, the free safety, in there on the stop for the Minnesota Vikings.
Despite all the problems this Redskins team has had, a lot of people may have written them off earlier in the season. With the return of Charlie Brown and Joe Washington, I think they're probably at high tide right now. They're probably just hit their stride right at the right time, late in the football season, right before the playoffs. And I think right now they may be as good as they've been over the last 3 years.
That is what has transpired here in the first quarter with 5.5 minutes remaining. First down and 10. Rick Walker, 88 in motion. Theismann. Oh, Theismann to Charlie Brown. He's hit hard.
Going to be
Was
down.
it possession?
Well, they said the ground can't cause a fumble, and he would definitely hit the ground when the ball came out.
Charlie's going to have to be pretty healthy to even get up on that one, because he took a heck of a lick.
He does pop right up.
They're calling it incomplete.
Calling it incomplete. Apparently he was juggling when he was hit. Let's take a look at it again.
running a post pattern right here. Charlie has those long arms. He's not the tallest guy in the league, but he's got those long arms that you can get up there, grabs the ball. He looked as if he had control of it in the ground. When he hit the ground, it popped out.
Yeah, that's Rufus Best. They've got over there at cornerback. They've made a little switch already. Willie Teal.
There's a collective sigh of relief on the part of the Redskins coaching crew. They want to keep Charlie Brown healthy. Second down and 10. Art Monk underneath. And Monk, about a yard short of another Redskin first down, hit there by Scott Studwell. Monk is the leading receiver in the NFL with 82 receptions. He's caught 29 in the last 4 games. He has been the hot receiver in the league. He's 19 short of a record set by Charlie Hennigan back in 1964, an NFL record of 101 receptions, and he is definitely within reach.
It's got to help him an awful lot, too, to have downtown Charlie Brown back in there, because Art was getting a lot of double coverage earlier in the year.
Third down and 1, short yardage offense in. That means Otis Walmsley, 39, powerful blocker. And he'll try the left side. Ooh.
Make it.
And now you hear the crowd roar. Scott Studwell hitting first.
Hey, that Studwell is going to be around the ball.
I tell you, he's led this team in tackles over the last 4 years, and he's leading the team in tackles this year. And if Les Steckel can get his offense as fired up as his defense is, if you take away that one touchdown play on the first play of the game, we can have a football game here tonight.
30-yard attempt. Mark Mosley,
We're going
17 of 23 on the season.
We're going to have a football game here tonight, O.J.
You got to fire up that Redskins. You got to fire up that Viking offensive unit. We can get a good competition.
Wiseman gets it down. Mosley gets it through the uprights, and the Redskins move out on top. 10-0 with 3:43 remaining in the first quarter. And we'll be back in Minneapolis in just a moment. Anderson, a rookie from Baylor, has been a real pleasant surprise for the Vikings this year, one of the few. He is back there with Darren Nelson, awaiting the kickoff of Jeff Hayes. Hayes hooks it, and he hooks it out of bounds. And they'll back the Redskins up 5 yards. To give us a moment just to pay our respects to the family of Ricky Bell, a former great running back at USC, a friend of many of us here at ABC, who died this past Wednesday of a very rare skin and muscular disease. We should give all of our condolences to Ricky's family.
You know, Frank, the moving thing is watching Ricky run, you know, in that aggressive, noble style of his. To meet him off the football field, he was about the most gentle guy you can ever meet. And I know that millions of Americans would like to share with me when I say to Natalia, his wife, and his children, Ricky Jr. and Noel, that our prayers are with you.
Amen.
Redskins will now kick from the 30-yard line. 3:38 remaining in the first quarter. And they are on top 10-0. We asked Les Steckel this morning, what do you learn from this season? Gave me that Marine Corps stare, and he said, resiliency. I suggested that perhaps it's a good thing he had it, because it has been a very trying and a traumatic year for this young man.
We ain't the best. We'll be back with less of a mess.
They are poetic up here. Jeff Hayes bangs it once again. And this time he carries into the end zone. Darren Nelson had moved up to the 5-yard line. He was a little hesitant, but that ball is free. He watched it go out of bounds, however. And I remind you, we'll be in San Diego on Monday night. Take a look at the great Walter Payton there. Don't know about Dan Fouts. He was moved on the NFL injury report from out to possible, whatever that means. He's had a pulled groin a week ago. We just don't know about that. Then at December the 10th, the Los Angeles Raiders against Detroit. Of course, the Raiders fighting in that American Football Conference for a playoff spot. Now, that is going to be at a very special time, 8 o'clock Eastern time, though. So that means we're going to bring you that game 1 hour earlier right across the country. Many of you have expressed concern about the latency of the game in part of the country. Well, we're going to see how it works. First down at 10, Minnesota. They're down 10-0. Wilson fires a shot to Leo Lewis. And the little wide receiver comes down with the football out over the 30-yard line. He'll have a first down.
What's happening here, I think they're saying, hey, look, we can get back in this football game. We've stopped them a couple of times. We take away one play, we'd be right in this football field. If the offense gets going, we can get right back in this game.
Right back in there.
First down and 10. The ball just out over the 30-yard line. Defense actually has played fairly well. They gave up a couple of biggies, as O.J. suggested. Wilson. This is Anderson. And the custom is that ball lateral.
What's really strange is he was a receiver, or played receiver, started out receiver down in Baylor, and with Ian Steckel said this morning he's had the hardest time catching the ball. He said, I bet he's dropped 15 balls, and it's something that's kind of gotten into, you get to psych yourself out.
It's strange because he was a quarterback, an all-state quarterback, and most quarterbacks, because they're playing catch all day,
got good hands.
Got good hands.
And good athletes.
Yeah. So he was a quarterback in high school and a receiver as a freshman, and he's having trouble holding on to the ball.
Second down and 10.
Quarterbacks are good athletes.
Some of them.
And usually they're really fast.
Yeah, Wade Wilson underneath again to Leo Lewis, and he breaks the tackle. Leo. And down he goes in the arms of Monty Coleman. Gets about 3 yards out of that and covered about 18.
Well, Leo is hustling. Leo was a free agent on this team, played a few games up in Canada. They picked him up, they cut him. His father played with Bud Grant up in Canada, and he's a member of the Canadian Football League's Hall of Fame. As you can see, he's a hustling little kid at 5'8", 167 pounds.
You're 5'8" out there, you better hustle.
If you only weigh 167, double hustle.
Third down and 7. The third wide receiver is in. Dwight Collins, a rookie from Pittsburgh, number 84. That's Darren Nelson, good receiver. He's moving out of the backfield in motion. Oh, and it's picked up.
Yeah.
Rich Malott.
Oh.
And Malott gets his third interception of the season and takes it back to about the 11-yard line.
He'd like to have that one back.
Yeah, but what's amazing about that, you got Darren Nelson in motion. He gets picked up by a linebacker, and he's not your primary receiver. As you'll see, Darren Nelson will be outside of the play, and he threw to the short man instead of the guy outside there, and very nice play by Rich Malott.
Rich had him so well covered, though. It was not like he was open, even.
And they are covering Steve Jordan, the tight end, with the linebacker. That time, Malott had him in perfect coverage and right in front to pick it off.
Nice going.
Third interception of the season for Malott.
Good drop, lateral movement.
First down and 10. The ball near the 12-yard line. We're still in the first quarter. The Redskins on top 10-0. Keith Griffin over the left side, inside the 10, down close to the 8-yard line.
Well, I tell you, if I was a defensive safety, oh, there they are.
They do show
got
up.
a hat this time.
We first saw that in New Orleans a few years ago.
What I was going to say, if I just this high, I guess we're about 40 rolls up. If I was a defensive safety for the Vikings, every time I hear yellow 30,
Yellow 30.
I'd run to my right side because that's what the Redskins are doing. And I picked that up all the way up here, Don.
Yeah, but you're much more clever than a lot of those folks out there. They can hit it all night long.
Let's see if we can hear it.
Yeah.
Third down and 6.
Uh-oh, a run to the left.
See that? Yeah, I'm glad you picked that up.
Griffin, well, he was kind of to the left.
Yeah.
Well, they trapped to the left.
Moving behind Graham and Jacoby over on that left side. Interesting matchup over there. Jacoby on the left side, number 66, is going against Neil Elshire. Elshire, a free agent that the Redskins tried to wave through and bring him back in 1981. He was with Jacoby as a free agent with the Redskins. Somebody mentioned to the other day, and he said, well, it's only cost me $120,000 and 2 Super Bowl rings. They're getting it on tonight. Third down and 2.
Oh, I think they're going to throw it. They're going to trick him this time.
That was yellow 30.
Yeah, I tell you, they're throwing a trick him. Yeah, that's a little trick within the game.
Warren, or Clint Didier, is one of those Redskins that they have got back off the injured reserve about mid-season. He had a broken fibula early going, missed a lot of games, and he is really deadly down around the goal line. Didier gets the touchdown.
Is that Budweiser?
No, I don't think he's talking about Budweiser. They're talking about Weiser. But old Bud left a pretty good time when you think about it.
In 17 years, he won 11 divisions and went to the Super Bowl 4 times, lost them all as we watch Mark Mosley. Well, Les Steckel inherited the job from a legend, but he didn't get the legendary players with it. The Vikings, over the past 5 years, have been under 500, 36-37. So there's a job ahead for Les Steckel, and a big one. 18 seconds remaining in the first quarter. The Redskins set to kick off. That means Jeff Hayes and Darren Nelson and Alfred Anderson deep for the Vikings. And Darren Nelson will bring it out. Trying to get outside. There it is. Good. And Nelson out to about the 18-yard line, where it'll be first down and 10. And remind you, coming up live, CFA College Football continues this Saturday with doubleheader action featuring 2 Southern rivalries starting at 12 o'clock Eastern. Number 11 ranked Auburn gets it on with intrastate rival Alabama. Now, if Auburn wins, they go on to the Sugar Bowl, where they'll meet Nebraska on New Year's Day at 8 p.m., and you'll see it here on ABC. If Alabama wins, LSU goes to the Sugar Bowl. And at 3:30 Eastern Time, another intrastate matchup. Southeastern Conference champion and number 3 ranked Florida meets number 2 Florida State on CFA College Football, all on ABC. A great lineup coming your way this Saturday. Holding against Minnesota, against Maurice Turner, and that will back Minnesota up.
Well, think about this Minnesota team. If there's a bright spot, they haven't been getting penalized. I think they've only had about 4 in the last couple of weeks.
I said it earlier, but Les Steckel really came in, and he did take over a job from a legend, Bud Grant, who did such a great job. But this youngster, 38 years old, he didn't get the players when he came here. Many of the great names that you've known over the years, of course, no longer with this ball club. And he's putting together a new ball club. There's Darren Nelson. Right side, runs into Monty Coleman. Out of bounds. He gets a couple of yards out of it. That's the end of the first quarter. It'll be second down and 8 when we return to the Metrodome, where Joe Theismann is heading for a big night. Here in Minnesota, of course, great receivers, Philadelphia, later in the Canadian League, and of course 17 years the head coach here with the Vikings. Took them to 4 Super Bowls, won 11 division titles, and now taking it a little bit easy. As he told us at the Pro Bowl a year ago, there are a lot of things in life I don't want to miss. Principally hunting and fishing in his case, but he did have a remarkable record. Minnesota, second down and 9. The ball at their own 11-yard line as we begin the second quarter. Darren Nelson backed up right at the line of scrimmage. Redskins, easy sledding a week ago against Buffalo, blowing them away. They led them 24-0 in the first quarter. They lead here 17-0, and you can see by the numbers, we don't have to tell you, everything favors the Washington Redskins. It'll change a little bit for the Redskins, though, in the next couple of weeks, and they are convinced they have to win all 3 because they are locked coming into tonight with the Giants, Dallas, and St. Louis. But a week from Sunday, they play the Dallas Cowboys. Then they will play the St. Louis Cardinals at home. Third down and 7. Darren Nelson, single setback. Third wide receiver, number 84, Dwight Collins, the rookie from Pittsburgh, is in the lineup. Wilson is sacked. First man there, Darrell Grant. 56 sacks of the season for these Redskins. They have been so hot for the past 4 games.
Well, it's the biggest problem that Les Steckel has with his offense is up front. It's the key man on an offensive line is your center, and they have a guy playing there, number 67, named Ron Sams tonight. And this is the first time or the first year he's ever played center. And as simple as it may seem, passing the ball back to the quarterback, it is one of the more difficult positions to play on the football field. The blocking angles.
Greg Coleman's going to have to be very careful here because he can't take the deep drop, nor can he touch the back of the end zone, or that would be a safety. He will have to kick quickly because he does not have the time for the protection. He does get it off, and it's a beauty. It takes Nelms all the way back to his own 42-yard line, but it's low, the kind you run back. And Nelms does just that near the 25-yard line.
Goodness. There
Flag is down at the 38-yard line. That was a 47-yard punt under pressure. Referee once again tonight, Bob McElwee. And it will work against the Redskins.
Skins are tough. We saw the Redskins earlier in the year. They lost the first 2 ball games, and everybody said, hey, you know, what's wrong with those Skins?
Number 54 on the return.
54.
Pete Cronin, who was just activated by the Washington Redskins. He is the captain of the special teams. They have really sorely missed him on their special teams unit. One of those many players who have been on the injured reserve for the Redskins. 14 of them since the start of the season. Penalty. Drops the Redskins back to inside the 48-yard line of Minnesota.
See there?
Art Mott, little flanker screen. He got a little bit of a touch block from Calvin Muhammad, and he comes up about a yard short of the first down. And there is the leading sack master of this Redskins unit, Dexter Manley.
Dexter is one of the reasons they're so optimistic at this point of the season. He's playing back to his 1982 form. He played well last year, but they felt he played better in 82, and he's playing back to that form now.
The Skins are tough. They can do it. We're seeing a different, like the number 2 offense they have tonight. They usually go with Riggins. They've got a hold. This is the passing offense.
Second down and 1. Griffin. He'll have the first down. He's in the arms of Charlie Johnson, but he squirms to the 35-yard line for a Redskin first down.
You got to give Charlie Johnson credit. Here's a guy playing with 2 bad shoulders. He's been around the league quite a while. Came in here. He left Philadelphia because he felt they worked out too hard over there.
Yeah, I love that.
He came into this Army boot camp or Marine boot camp, and he's hung in there and he's playing good ball for the Vikings.
Big Charlie.
Redskins have the first down at the 35-yard line. Keith Griffin getting a workout tonight while John Riggins takes another day off with that sore back of his. Rick Walker, 88 in motion. Theismann. Same play to the other side. The screen to Art Musk, the flanker, and Musk works it to the 30-yard line for a gain of 5. It'll bring up second down and 5. Joey Browner makes the stop.
Well, there's a lot of confusion with this Viking secondary. On that play, Calvin Muhammad and Art Monk lined up side by side, and there was only one defensive back out there.
Well, if Joe did just what he's doing, they're sure working on some statistics. Art Monk's going to catch 100 balls tonight with that one.
Well, they're aware that he needs about 19 receptions to become the all-time leading NFL receiver with 101. And they trying to get a lot of them for him tonight.
Second down and 5. Griffin over the right side, short of the first down. Theismann thus far 9 of 13, 116 yards and a couple of touchdowns. And Monk, coming into tonight with 82 receptions, has caught 4 more. He's at 86 receptions, leading, of course, the NFL.
You know, they're getting almost to the point already. This is early in the second quarter, but where Washington could take some plays that they're not going to run very much. And they'll throw a bunch of stuff out there that they haven't been doing for a couple of reasons. One, let the other team, which happens to be Dallas, take a look at this, so they'll have to work on it defensively.
Not to mention the Cardinals.
That's right.
They'll play in their final game at home. Third down, short yardage. Underneath, and it's complete to Jeff Moore out of the backfield. He'll have the first down at the 20-yard line. Jeff Moore, who works well out of that backfield. They brought him in. He was out of a job. They brought him in when Joe Washington was hurt 9 weeks ago. And Jeff Moore, of course, a good receiver for the 49ers. Before that, it was Seattle. And another Sonny Jurgensen record has been tied. Last week, he got nipped Sonny Jurgensen in yardage.
I love what Sonny said. He said, hey, sure he did, but I could go out there in the second half in my street clothes and I could set another one for him. Sonny's somewhat competitive.
The first down is inside the 21-yard line. Redskins are moving once again. Keith Griffin, right side. Big open. Good running by Griffin. He bobbles the football, and this is what they've been concerned about. And bounces into the end zone. Joe Jacoby, the big offensive tackle, covers. It'll be a touchdown. A Viking did have a chance just before it got in there. But it will be a Washington Redskin touchdown. And big Joe Jacoby, that's got to be his first.
It is. Look at that.
When I say he covered the ball, it disappeared on this 6'7", 305-pounder.
Les.
It's all going wrong.
The whole town's underwater.
Tomorrow, there's always tomorrow. Tomorrow's a brand new day.
Mark Mosley for the conversion. And the Redskins extend their lead to 24-0. We have 10:46 remaining in the first half. And the boos, they haven't often heard here in Minnesota, are rocking. Joe Jacoby, from a free agent out of Louisville 4 years ago to a Pro Bowler a year ago. They almost didn't keep him. Mr. Hall thought he was a defensive tackle. Jeff Hayes bangs one into the end zone, and Nelson will bring it out. And he hurdles out close to the 18-yard line, where it'll be first down and 10 for Minnesota.
Number 20, he's the man I would start looking for if they're gonna mount any threat on offense. I'd put him in motion, and every time I get a linebacker or somebody covering him one-on-one, I tell him to run down the field. I'm gonna throw the ball to you. He was one of the greatest all-time rushers, receivers that ever played, maybe the greatest in college history. He was the first guy to catch 50 passes and run for 1,000 yards, and he's done it 3 times, or he did it 3 times while he was at Stanford.
In the 18-yard line, first down and 10 for Minnesota. Wade Wilson trying to get something happening offensively for the Vikings. Aaron Nelson is in motion. Blitz is on, and Wade Wilson has to hurry to pass, and he is hammered. He was hit by Olkowitz on the blitz. Just as he released it, he had no choice. He had to deliver it somewhere in the area of Steve Jordan. These quarterbacks for the Vikings, a little bit shell-shocked. They have been hammered throughout this season. And to remind you, at halftime, Jim Lampley in New York will be bringing you an interview with Walter Payton. We talked with him yesterday, and, of course, we'll be watching Walter on Monday night against the San Diego Chargers. Second down and 10. Wilson now 3 of 9, 18 yards, 1 interception. Anderson, the rookie from Baylor, running hard up close to the 19-yard line. He'll get 6 yards out of that to bring up a third down and 4. Hit there first by Darrell Grant.
Anderson, as you mentioned, Frank, was out of Baylor, a 3rd-round pick, but they got on the 5th-round pick another back from Baylor, Alan Rice. Kind of unusual. Baylor's right now got 18 players from Baylor that are currently active in the National Football League, and 6 of them are running backs.
Another meeting.
I don't... Those are the meetings that said, hey, wait a minute, we've already had this meeting.
Third down and 4. Wade Wilson looks it over. Aaron Nelson, right side. And he'll be short of the first down. And I understand that Charlie Brown, who had a rather violent collision near the end zone in the first quarter, has a bruised knee, could come back. But I really question that. And we want to keep Charlie Brown healthy. They have Charlie Brown healthy with Calvin Muhammad and Art Monk. They are awesome at the wide receiver position. There's Mike Nelms. Not a bad average thus far on a couple of punts. We're going to measure this, but I'm fairly certain that it's considerably short. So it's 4th down. And
the crowd saying go. You know what? I think they should.
Well, they're seeing a change. Hey. Coming back out.
Very right.
Yeah, at this point, let's have fun.
Wade says, Coach, are you sure that's what you want to do?
62,000 coaches here.
Hey, the people paid to see football, so hey, why not have fun? If you're down 24-6 the 2nd quarter, let's go for it.
Minnesota has just 1 first down. They have about 6 inches for their 2nd of the evening.
This is maybe the earliest we've ever had a commitment for the 4-down situation.
2 tight ends are in. Why not play action and go for the bomb?
No way.
Wade Wilson.
He almost fumbled the ball.
Where they marked it. I mean, he had surged over the center.
I think
Redskins came out of the pilot with the football, but the whistle had blown.
Looked as if he didn't get a good snap from center, and you were talking about that earlier. OJ, it is important. Yeah, at least we've got a touch of optimism from Joe Centris as his first down.
Well, 62,000 fans are going to find out why they're not coaching.
Let's take a look at it.
If you look at it in the reverse angle, you can really see that he did not have control of the football.
That was his little delayed
that hesitation.
And the surge carries for the first down. Behind the center, Ron Sands.
Yep.
Surge may have been exaggerated. Fans now know they're right.
That's right, they're right. A little surge and a proper placement.
The surge may have been a slight exaggeration.
The boy's got strong East Texas legs. He just pulled his way through there.
Wilson is the leading rusher. He has 6 yards. First and 10.
All right.
Whittaker. And Wilson has to settle for short yardage to Steve Jordan. He was looking downfield for Leo Lewis. He wanted a bundle out of that. He'll get about 6.
The problem being, you have to put the defense in some type of jeopardy before flea flickers work, and the defensive secondary hasn't had to do much. So they just sat back there, and the flea flicker doesn't work.
I bet you we see some reverses. Les mentioned that this morning. Maybe there. They got some reverses, flea flickers, halfback passes.
They marked it at the 33, so it's 2nd down and 5. Wilson, plenty of time. Tries to get it into Jordan, and it was behind Jordan. He could not handle it.
He had him open there, too.
Don, I would call that those nervous feet.
That was
referred to.
That was a little nervous feet, and also just not much follow through. He just kind of tried to arm that ball out there. But you got to think, the kid hadn't played much, and when he's played, there's somebody in his face all the time. So when there's nobody there, you still say, wait a minute, somebody's got to be coming in here because I'm used to throwing with feet, other folks all over me.
3rd down and 5. Ball at the 33-yard line. 8:32 remaining in the first half. Darren Nelson in motion. Pressure's on. Wilson slides in front of it. He's in deep trouble. Gets the ball to Jordan, and Jordan is going to be very close to a 1st down.
I think he's close enough where they'll go again on 4th.
I think he may have it. Vernon Dean defensively there was all over Jordan, but Wade Wilson under tremendous pressure stepped inside, was able to find Jordan. And we'll have another measurement.
They got it.
All right, Jordan.
All right. Good effort.
Listen to the crowd.
That was a good effort by Steve Jordan that time because he didn't have his 1st down when he caught it.
But he knew where that 1st down marker was. This was good eyes. He was a 3-year letterman in tennis. In tennis when he was in a high school and at Brown. So the guy has good hand-eye coordination.
He's also the guy that was the winner of the Ironman competition they had.
Won a car.
1st down and 10. The Vikings going without quarterback Tommy Kramer or great offensive back Ted Brown. They're both unavailable tonight. This is Wade Wilson. Blitzes on again. Okowitz knocks the ball loose from Wilson. Then it's free.
Oh, no.
Big number 77. Darrell Grant picks it up on the hop.
There's another one.
But the play was set off by a middle blitz from Neil Okowitz, who popped the ball loose from Wade Wilson. Darrell Grant gets it into the end zone. Now we have had touchdowns by lineman Darrell Grant on defense. And offensively for the Redskins, it was big number Joe Jacoby falling on another fumble.
Well, surprising. You see him reacting to Wade Wilson. Reacting to Okowitz, and then he stopped. It ran back into him. You got to put the ball away when it gets hot back there.
Oh, boy.
But when your life is on the line, I guess the ball is secondary.
Protect thyself first.
You've seen so many games, and the Vikings, obviously a much weaker football team than the Redskins, but when things start to go well for you in games like this, everything seems to work. That ball just bouncing into the hands of Darrell Grant. He would have probably tried to cover it had the game been closer, but he was waiting for the bounce. Mosley splits the uprights. There he is, Darrell Grant. Good pass rusher, good defensive tackle. And not a bad runner with the football. We'll be back. Redskins play tonight. And, of course, Dallas looking on. The St. Louis Cardinals must be looking on because they lie ahead of the Redskins. Jeff Hayes puts it in the air. This will be Alfred Anderson, the rookie from Baylor. Anderson out over the 25-yard line near the 28. It'll be 1st down and 10. And let's take a look at Olkowitz's hit on Wade Wilson.
Pretty clean.
The ball just bounces around and finally right into the arms of Darrell Grant.
Well, it's pretty easy to say you could tuck that one away, but he didn't really have much of a shot to do much. Olkowitz had a pretty clean break in the line and came on through. Almost was recovered by Doug Barton.
That, by the way, ties an NFL record, 2 fumble recoveries for touchdowns.
Washington came into this game with 16 different players having scored, and now with Jacoby and Darrell Grant, I'm sure they didn't score before. That's 18.
Near the 28-yard line, 1st and 10, Minnesota. Aaron Nelson in motion, and this is Anderson, the rookie from Baylor. Anderson buried at the 30-yard line. Ken Coffey up there first. We're going to pause 5 seconds and allow our stations to identify themselves.
This is WJLA-TV, Washington's Channel 7.
Anderson gets a couple of yards. It'll be 2nd down and 8 for the Minnesota Vikings, who are trailing 31-0. Very first play from the line of scrimmage, Joe Theismann hit Calvin Muhammad 68 yards for a touchdown. That set the scene here at Minnesota. Mosley got a field goal. Theismann another touchdown pass to Didier. Jacoby with a fumble recovery. Darrell Grant with a fumble recovery. And it's the Redskins' night here in Minneapolis. On 2nd and 8, Wilson again with a lot of time, and he connects to wide receiver Mike Jones out of Tennessee State, and he'll have the 1st down. He's up to the 47-yard line, a 17-yard pickup.
Calitarian in front of Darrell Green that time. He had some time to throw.
Well, it helped to get that time, and the Washington secondary is somewhat like the days ago. They're just not going to let these guys get behind them. As you can see, number 48, Ken Coffey, tries to jump over him and didn't quite make it.
Yeah, Ken Coffey and Curtis Jordan have played extremely well in that secondary for the Redskins at the safety spots. Anderson, good running by Anderson. Anderson down to the 47-yard line. Pick up a 4. It'll bring up 2nd down and 6. Olkowitz made the stop.
Now, Don, what is Archie Manning thinking? Keep him in there, Coach. The kid needs to work, huh?
I would say certainly in that area. Archie, I don't think, will volunteer. If he's looking for volunteers, he's not going to get one out of Archie.
Now, he had a lot of years in New Orleans that are very familiar.
That's true.
The scene that is brought into.
He would have the experience.
I mentioned earlier, he took those 11 sacks a few weeks ago against the Bears. 2nd and 6. Anderson again.
Same play.
And the spread with Rich Malott. And he is upended by Vernon Dean, the leading interceptor in the AFC, and now in his 3rd year. It'll be short of the 1st down by about a yard. 3rd down and 1. A reminder, once again, Monday night we'll be in San Diego with the Chicago Bears, the same team that rained all over Archie Manning a few weeks ago. Les Steckel was just outrageous in his raving of the Bears. He thinks they're the finest football team in the game. They have really trimmed the Vikings a couple of times. And that new time on December the 10th, a week from Monday night, 8 o'clock. So that's an hour earlier all across the country.
I saw number 32, Vernon Dean, who's been the best defensive back for the Washington Redskins, walk off the field and may be injured.
Anderson, good running in the line for 1st down. And Anderson inside the 40 to the 43-yard line.
I like that one.
Good running back. I mentioned earlier he has really been a fine all-around back, this Alfred Anderson. Over 1,200 yards, 1,212 coming into tonight. That's the top producing rookie in the National Football Conference.
I didn't think he'd be there when they got him in the 3rd round. Hey,
That's a
who are
surprise.
those guys? OJ, I want everybody to know that you now have got a big color screen inside of that deal.
Squeaky wheel.
That's great.
Anderson got the 1st down inside the 38-yard line for the Washington Redskins. The Vikings' finest offensive output of the evening. Anderson, once again, he has been doing all the work. And he pays for 3 tough yards getting to the 35-yard line. Bouncing off a couple of defenders, and finally Olkowitz hammered him down at the 35. There's Joe Washington. I spoke about him earlier. He can do so many things.
Yeah, there's bad news for the rest of the league because the way this Washington team is rounding in the shape of the playoffs with Joe Washington coming back, they're going to be tough.
They do have like 2 different styles. And one style when Joe Washington is there, and of course Darrell Griffin tonight. But when Big John Riggins is in there, they go that straight ahead stuff. I'm impressed with the Skins. They're tough.
Another bright spot for the Vikings this season. There haven't been that many. Steve Jordan has gone in for an X-ray of his toe, the tight end. 2nd down and 8. Wilson. This is Mike Jones. And Jones Short of the first down, inside the 30-yard line, however, hit there by Curtis Thornton. Free safety for the Redskins.
Mike Jones is a good-looking kid. He's a 5'11", 180 pounds from Tennessee State. And you know he caught 40 career touchdowns down there, which is an NCAA career record. For the kid.
Can move. He got some hands.
He really was. He had quite a career. Over 200 receptions, over 3,500 yards. Third down, long one, as they mark it just inside the 30. And Wade Wilson. Well, apparently he just responded to a sideline call by head coach Les Steckel. 38 years old.
And aging.
Decorated Vietnam Marine veteran. This is a tough year. We'll be back. Home in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Capacity 62,000. They're sold out tonight, and they're by and large all here. The Vikings have sorted it out. Les Steckel called a timeout. Brought his quarterback Wade Wilson over. Apparently did not like the call that he had sent in himself. So it's third down, a long one. 3:30 remaining in the half. Anderson. And Anderson.
Nice.
They have put the Vikings in another 4th and short situation. Charlie Mann, the defensive end, and Olkowitz made the stop.
Boy, he's a good-looking kid.
He made a good cut, didn't he?
He's a quarterback in high school. He passed for 17 TDs and rushed for 14 TDs, and he has been a bright spot for this team this year. I mean, he's running behind pretty much a makeshift line.
He threw a touchdown pass for the Vikings this year.
Well, on 4th down, less than a yard, the Vikings will go. The ball just inside the 29-yard line.
You think they're going to go with that power up the middle, number 11?
Last time, 4th and short, Wade Wilson got it on a sneak. A little more than that, however, and they are going to go for a bunch of it. They have a checkoff man underneath, however, and they do get the first down. That's Don Hasselbeck, former New England player who went to the Raiders and was picked up recently on waivers from the Raiders. He gets the first down inside the 20 near the 18-yard line.
Don Hasselbeck was a player at Colorado when Les Steckel was a coach there, so he knows him well.
We weren't looking for him to play tonight. He has been one of the many Vikings that has suffered from nagging injuries. 2 timeouts remaining, and we will not get a playoff before we get the 2-minute warning. So they will save the timeouts, and Wade Wilson will move over to confer once again with head coach Les Steckel. And we'll be back in Minneapolis in a few moments. Wade Manning steps back into the huddle. 2 minutes remaining in the first half. I call him Wade Manning. It's Wade Wilson. I know that.
I know he is. Wade Manning's down there in Dallas, I think, or he was. Out of Ohio State.
I think Wade Wilson wishes Wade Manning was on the field.
First down and 10.
At least Archie Manning.
Ball at the 19-yard line. 10th play of this drive. Starting at their own 28. And away, Wilson in and out of the hands of Rich Malott. Could have been his second interception of the night.
Well, he ran a terrific route, Rich did, and he just threw it right in there. He didn't have anybody open.
Have you ever known a colorblind quarterback?
No, I don't think I have. No.
Might be a little difficult.
Have you? Oh. He's not.
Joe Theismann off to a great start tonight. Very first play from the line of scrimmage. 68-yard touchdown pass to Calvin Muhammad.
Jerry Rome thinks he may be the key. Joe Theismann.
Second down and 10. Wade Wilson now 8 of 16, 60 yards, 1 interception. Wilson goes down in the arms of Charles Mann. Charles Mann, who's really come on, filling in for an injured Todd Liebenstein. He filled in a lot a year ago, a second-year man out of the University of Nevada at Reno. And he is now the starting defensive left end. He just overpowers Tim Irwin.
This goes around him. There's not any of that foot movement up there that time. Those guys are good. They lead the league, as we mentioned earlier, but Steve Riley's the guy that I guess he was trying to... No, it was Irwin. You're right. Sorry. Trying to get around there.
Loss of about 5, so it'll bring up third down and 15. Ball near the 19-yard line. Anderson, single setback. one will be picked off. Ken Coffey. Intended for Sensor, but Coffey comes down with it. Second interception of the night for the Redskins.
Yeah, a lot more Redskins back there than there were Vikings.
Flag is down at the 23-yard line. However, it came down late.
Penalty is declined.
Penalty against the Vikings declined. The Redskins will take over
So the Redskins get the football back. 1:11 remaining in the first half. Let's take a look at Wilson again. He just tried to cram one in to Joe Sensor, the big tight end.
You also saw floating right by his eyes was big number 78, Tony McGee.
And Rich Malott was under the intended receiver. And the Redskins have the ball back. Earlier, filling in well for an injured Tony Peters. First down and 10. The Redskins near their own 18-yard line. This is Joe Washington, and Joe Washington is really hammered. First man there, Charlie Johnson. Line of scrimmage, and that's about it. A couple of weeks ago, the Vikings were down 35-7 at halftime to Denver, and they came back to make it close in that game, 42-21. And that's the one thing Les Steckel has said about the team. He is very honest and very open about the fact that they're weak in personnel, but he said he's very proud of them because they've never, ever quit in a game. They just, right now, totally inadequate to face the Redskins. Second down, long yardage. Joe Washington. And he struggles up around to the 25. It'll be third down and 3. And a reminder that at halftime we'll go to New York and we'll join Jim Lappy. He's going to be talking with Walter Payton, an interview that he had yesterday with Walter, the all-time leading rusher in the NFL. OJ, what do you say at halftime when you take your team in, and that's what Steckel is going to have to do? He's going to have to face them.
We're down 40-0 once, and our coach, Harv Johnson, walked in the locker room, looked at us all with our heads down and said, well, hell, fellas, I don't know what you think, but we got to go out for the second half.
And with those words of wisdom from Harv Johnson, we do know that they will be back. And we'll be joining Jim Lappy in New York with Walter Payton in a few moments. Halftime activities winding down here in the Metrodome in Minnesota. Washington on top of Minnesota 31-0. We want to remind you live this Saturday, CFA college football continuing with a doubleheader featuring two Southern rivalries starting at 12 o'clock Eastern time. Number 11 ranked Auburn goes against interstate rival Alabama. Now, if Auburn wins, they go on to the Sugar Bowl where they'll meet Nebraska on New Year's Day at 8 p.m. and you'll see that here on ABC. Now, if Alabama wins, LSU goes on to the Sugar Bowl. Then at 3:30 Eastern, another intrastate matchup in the Southeastern Conference. Southeastern Conference champion and number 3 ranked Florida meets number 12 ranked Florida State on CFA College Football, all on ABC. And it's been a Washington Redskins show here at the Metrodome. Let's take a look at the very first play from scrimmage. The Redskins in possession. Joe Theismann looking deep, and he hangs one up. That speedster Calvin Mohammed, splitting his own defense, is right there. He takes it in 68 yards for the touchdown on the very first play. The conversion good, 7-0. Mark Mosley added a field goal, and then it was Joe Theismann once again following a Rich Malott interception. Inside the 5-yard line, Theismann looking for Didier. Didier, key man for the Redskins when he gets down close. He missed some early season action with a broken fibula. He's back, as are a lot of these Redskins. They have Charlie Brown back, Joe Washington back. And let's take a look at the next touchdown because the offensive line gets into the act. This is Keith Griffin running hard, pops the ball out of his arms. The ball bounding forward. The Vikings had a chance at it right at the 1-yard line. And watch big Joe Jacoby with his first career touchdown. The offensive left tackle covering the football. That made it 24-0. There is Big Joe. When he covers it, he really covers it. And the defensive lineman got into the act also. Watch number 52. That's Neil Olkowitz, the middle linebacker. Wade Wilson trying to scramble out of his reach. Olkowitz knocks the ball loose, and now keep your eye on Darryl Grant. Number 77 played it on a one-hopper, and Darryl Grant takes it in for the touchdown. That made it 31-0. That's where we are right now at the Metrodome. The Vikings came to life a little bit with a drive late in the second quarter, but an interception by Ken Coffey kept them off the scoreboard. Okay, we'll be coming back for second half action here in Minneapolis right after this message. Joe Sensor and the National Football League. The score here as we wind down halftime. Washington 31, Minnesota nothing. This ABC Sports exclusive is being brought to you by Chevrolet, who invites you to see today's Chevy. Drive today Chevy, live today Chevy. And by Bud Light. The best has a taste all its own, satisfying but never filling. Ask for Bud Light. By Sony with Triniton, Betamax, Walkman, and compact disc player. Sony, the one and only. And by McDonald's. It's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's. Frank Gifford along with Don Meredith and O.J. Simpson watching a bit of an awesome performance offensively by the Washington Redskins against a decidedly weaker Minnesota Viking team. These are the first quarter numbers. Remember, 68 of those passing yards came on the very first play from scrimmage. A touchdown pass, 5 went to Calvin Mohammed. And the numbers actually have not increased that much. The score has, however, and look at the time of possession. Minnesota had the ball actually longer than the Redskins. But it doesn't take long to throw a 68-yard touchdown pass. Jeff Hayes will kick off for Washington. Darren Nelson and Alfred Anderson for the Vikings are deep. And we'll watch Darren Nelson from the end zone. Flag is down as Darren Nelson breaks into midfield, dodges the tackle of punter Jeff Hayes out to the 40, but a flag is down, and it's going to work against Minnesota. Referee tonight, Bob McElwee, tells us they're going to bring it back. And we are going to see a new quarterback, Archie Manning, 14 years in the National Football League, 11 years in New Orleans, 1 year at Houston. Came here a year ago with Dave Casper. You mentioned the bombing that he took early in the season when he sacked by the Chicago Bears 11 times in the 16-7 loss. For his career, Manning, 55%, 170 touchdowns, 125 interceptions. And they are looking now at an injured Washington Redskin player, and it is the defensive end, Charles Mann, who had a very fine first half, and hopefully it's just the wind knocked out of him. They appear to be concerned with the chest area. So Charlie Mann is being attended to. Meanwhile, the Vikings, penalized on the kickoff return, will have the ball 1st and 10 at their own 10-yard line when we come back. Defensive end of the Redskins left the field. He looked to be all right. I will speculate that he did have the wind knocked out of him. We should see him again. New quarterback, Archie Manning, 14 years in the NFL, 11 years in New Orleans, his big years. Had some great ones down there. Takes over now. Wade Wilson leaves, 8 of 17, 60 yards, 2 interceptions. Manning, first play from scrimmage. Receiver covered, he pulls it down, the hook slides out over the 20-yard line, and he'll be close to a first down in the arms of Neil Okowitz. And there's Charlie Mann. He was the injured Redskin on that kickoff play that Darren Nelson returned out close to the 40, but was called back. We have an official's timeout now as Archie Manning scampered up there close to a first down. We're going to get a measurement.
Bet you don't know who the #1 draft choice was that year when Archie was the second guy chosen.
No.
Jim Plunkett.
First and 10. So the first play for Archie Manning at quarterback is a successful play. However, I'm sure he would much prefer to be throwing that football than running it.
He did what he really has to do, though, Frank. They're dropping so deep on him. You know, they get such a good rush on that front four. They're filling up that zones back in there, even when they're playing man-to-man. So Archie's got to bring him up one way or another.
Never had a winning season in 11 years in New Orleans. And off to Darren Nelson, and Nelson pounds his way up out over the 25-yard line. Gain of 5. It'll be 2nd down and 5. And now we understand that Charlie Mann just had a slightly bruised shoulder. You saw him stretching it a moment ago. And we probably will see him back. However, given the state of the scoreboard at 31-0, the Redskins might be looking after all the players with the Knicks, if they can afford to do, because they have had so many injuries during the course of the season. On 2nd down, Darren Nelson. It's away from Rich Malott. Good running by Darren Nelson. Ken Coffey finally chases him out of bounds. He'll be short of the first down by about a foot.
Turned on a little steam there, didn't he, when he came back around?
Oldest man who ever has gone over 1,000 yards, John Riggins. He's over 1,000 yards, of course, for the season. John Riggins did it at 35, and he was 2 months younger than when John Henry Johnson did it for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
got him a good seat. You notice he took a couple of towels and made a nice little pad for himself there. Pitch is a little hard.
He's been around. Man knows some tricks.
Third down and about a foot for Archie Manning and the Vikings. And whistles the blow. And timeout has been called. It's been called by the Washington Redskins. And Archie Manning will move over to the sidelines. And we'll be back in a moment. On this season, 20 of 40, no touchdowns and a couple of interceptions, and shell shock from the Bears a few weeks ago, as I mentioned earlier. They sacked him 11 times. It's third down and inches for the Vikings, early going here in the third quarter. Anderson. And I don't believe he's going to get it. Tried to spin out of the arms of the tackle. He had to get up to the 31-yard line. Greg Williams was up there helping the surge on the left side of that defensive line.
Where Alfred Anderson is such an aggressive running back. Let's see, they're bringing in the chains. It appears as if when he comes to get tackled, right when he comes up to the guy, he tries to butt the guy instead of do a little wiggle and catch the guy, have the guy try to arm tackle him. He tries to hit the guy solid and deliver the blow. He should give the guy a little wiggle at the last moment, and I think he can get a couple of, pick up a yard or two at times.
I think
it'll be fourth and that much, and twice once in the second quarter.
Oh, yeah.
Once in the first quarter. On fourth down, the Vikings did go for it. They were successful on both attempts. And a 31-0, a 3-10 season. Why not?
Absolutely, why not? Archie's still trying to get the play signaled in from the sideline. I don't think he figured it out. They said, no, Archie, we want you to take it. Remember what Wade did?
Wade, of course, if you were with us earlier, on a 4th and inches, took it in on a quarterback sneak for the first down. They were successful on the other 4th down call with a pass to the tight end. That's one way to get it as Anderson goes over the top.
That was a wiggle for you. A wiggle in the walk.
Move. Taking a page from Marcus Allen's book.
Yeah.
Well, the Vikings keep their drive alive. What a great career this man is off to. He came in 1981 with 8-8 for the season, but he lost the first 5 games. In 82, 12-1. They won the Super Bowl. And lost only a regular season game to Dallas in 83. Lost in the Super Bowl to the Raiders, but they were 14-2 in regular season and 16-3 for the year. Former offensive coordinator for the San Diego Chargers. First down and 10. Darren Nelson steps back inside. Good move by Nelson.
All right,
Darren Nelson.
Way to cut down.
Vernon Dean misses. Beautiful run by Darren Nelson, the former Stanford star, and a flag goes down as there is a late hit on Darren Nelson at the 29-yard line. 32-yard pickup.
No. Beautiful run by Darren Nelson. As I stated earlier, as we listened to the call.
Personal foul on this
Penalty against Washington.
Number 52 defense, late hit.
Neil Okowitz came in a little late and hit Darren, but Darren was one of the greatest college running backs ever. As I said, for 3 years at Stanford, he went over 1,000 yards.
Great move there,
over 50 passes. You can see him. He turned up right away. He was able to get outside. It was a great job by Anderson, his fullback on the play, getting around the corner. He followed it well, and in college, I don't think I've ever seen any guy run better in the open field than Darren Nelson.
You touched on it earlier. He was the first NCAA player to catch 50 passes and rush for 1,000 yards, and he did it 3 times. Number 1 draft pick 3 years ago, Darren Nelson. The penalty, personal foul, moves the ball inside the 15, first down and 10. Anderson in motion. Archie Manning fires it into Alan Rice, the rookie out of Baylor, teammate of Alfred Anderson, and Rice will be short of the first down, but he picks up 8.
Neil Okowitz on the tackle.
And an offside against the Vikes. When it's not happening, it's not happening.
Ooh, they've hurt themselves. They hurt themselves on the kickoff. Here is Bob McElwee once again.
Illegal motion, number 81, offense, still first down.
Joe said to the tight end, illegal motion. And instead of having a second down and 2, it'll be first down and 15. Well, that'll tell you a story about an offense that is weak and also hurt by the loss of Ted Brown, the versatile setback for the Vikings, and of course Tommy Kramer, who seemed to be able to provide magic even with a weaker team. Kramer, of course, out with a slightly separated shoulder. The 20-yard line, first down, 15 Vikings. They trail 31-0. Manning tries to come back with the same pass that he was successful with a moment ago to Allen Rice, but it's incomplete. It'll be second down and 15.
Tommy Kramer, Frank, has been hurt. He got hurt last year, missed a lot last year. He came back in again this year. Hurt his shoulder. They think it's a separation, and he doesn't know whether he's going to play more the rest of the year or not. But he is the kind of guy that they've counted on up here to get him going, get that spark going. Doing really well. He and his pretty little wife, Carrie, got a little baby girl. Tommy's all right.
Second down, 15. Darren Nelson took a breather. He's ready to come back into the game. Blitz is on, and Manning steps out of the grass for Olkowitz. Well, actually, it was Dexter Manning, and he gets back to close to the original line of scrimmage, but it'll bring up third down and long yardage.
Boy, Kirk Douglas. Tony didn't have a beard in the Vikings, did he?
That guy does.
Sippy has one eye.
He finally got him a real Viking over here with Jan Stenerud, but they haven't had a chance to use him tonight, have they?
Archie Manning has scrambled twice now successfully, but the Vikings have a third down and 11.
One of my first assignments for ABC was doing the Hula Bowl about 15 years ago, and Archie Manning and Jim Plunkett lit the place up. Archie scrambling all over the place.
Single setback is Anderson. Redskins showing the blitz, and they're going to come with it. Manning changed it up, tried to get the trap to spring Anderson into the secondary without linebackers, but he was covered, so it'll bring up fourth down and about 9. Now you're down 31-0. The field goal, an easy chip shot for Jan Stenerud. Will we see him?
Yep.
Yes, we will. Let me tell you a little bit about him. He's 42 years old. They got him from Green Bay this year for an 8th-round draft pick. Somebody must have thought he was over the hill. Well, he is 16 of 16 inside the 45-yard line, 19 of 22 with a long of 54 this year. Has also hit one from 53 and 52. Has the best percentage in the NFC and tied with Seattle's Norm Johnson for the best in the NFL. All of that at 42 years old, playing in his 19th season. And if he could survive those stats, he can handle pressure. Such a beautiful form. 30-yard attempt, and the Vikings are finally on the scoreboard. But the Redskins forced them to settle for 3. We'll be back in a moment. Passed for over 34,000 yards with the Cardinals. And these are the two oldest players out here tonight. Jan Stenerud at 42, Jim Hart at 40, both of them older than Vikings coach Les Steckel. And Jim Hart, I might point out, is the only active player left in the NFL that played against Andy Don Meredith.
Jimmy Hart. That's right. That's how many did Frank have, I wonder? Not very many.
Jan Stenerud hits it, and Nelms takes it at the 4. Mike Nelms finds a little gap, gets out over the 30-yard line. There's a 32, where it'll be first down and 10 Washington. Let's take a look at that playoff picture we were talking about all through the first half, the NFC East. Keep in mind now, Dallas, New York, and Washington all know that if they win their last 3 games, they will be in the playoffs. The Giants know that if they win all 3 of theirs, they'll win the Eastern Division. The other contenders, of course, the Rams and St. Louis, as we mentioned, they win all 3 of their games, they'll also be in the playoffs. So that's the story. The Redskins coming in tonight knowing that they really needed this game. This is Calvin Mohammed held short of the first down in the arms of Rufus Best, the cornerback for the Vikings.
Calvin put such a deep move on Rufus. Rufus was about 7 yards deep anyway, and he fell down.
Well, did he fall down? Yeah. They've had that play all day, that little hitch pass over there.
Well, Sonny Jurgensen can say goodbye to another Redskin record, as Bill Theismann now has the most completions. 1,832. Joe Washington works the left side behind Joe Jacoby and Russ Grimm, but Charlie Johnson was there. Joe Washington. I remember one night, what was it, 1978, I think it was, up in New England, a rainy night. Joe Washington accounted for 260 yards of offense. He ran a kickoff back 90 yards for a touchdown, threw a 54-yard touchdown pass. He was everywhere.
In the rain. I'll never forget
it was eerie.
Yeah.
Every time you look down there, he was doing something special.
With a 31-3 lead, I'm a little surprised they're not throwing the ball to Art Muntz right now, helping pad those stats.
At the 43-yard line, 1st and 10, Washington. And here is Washington. Bill Washington. Didn't look like he had anything going for him, but he'll get about 4 yards out of it to bring up a 2nd down and 6. There's Sonny Jurgensen. What did he say last week, Don? At halftime when Sam Huff, the radio announcer, with
Yeah, that's Sam right there.
radio network of the Washington, brought up that he had just broken his yardage record, and he said, well, I'll go down there in my street clothes in the second half. They'll let me play. I'll break it again.
Yes, I'll set it again. He and Sam were down there. I saw him at halftime. He said, it's what you call one of your majors. He said, we're going major here now, major league.
2nd down and 6. The Redskins at their own 47-yard line. We're in the 3rd quarter.
Right down the middle. He's wide open.
Theismann picks him up and gets it to Didier. Theismann looking left and spots Didier. He was wide open, and Theismann came back to him, and he was so open they didn't have a chance to close back on the coverage.
This is interesting. Watch number 45, the safety, comes in the middle. Normally, you'll hit a guy high here to try to shake the ball loose. He went right under him. Pretty dangerous there. Could have lost the tight end on that play.
See that little hesitation. They just let him go. Somebody's supposed to go with him all the way with the linebackers, I guess.
Tommy Hannon on the tackle that O.J. was referring to. But that was a fine pass by Theismann. You saw it on replay. You realize he had to really thread it in there. Bill Washington again. Good move. Gets a block from Jacoby. And he's inside the 25-yard line. Pops the ball up, and the Vikings cover it. Matt Blair playing hurt tonight, as are many of these Vikings. Gets the Joe Washington fumble, and this is very uncharacteristic of the Redskins. They've had 3 fumbles tonight.
That was an interesting play. They ran a counter. They brought Big Joe Jacoby over, and you saw Joe Washington wait for him, and he just caught the ball up. It was hit.
It was Robin Finline who knocked that ball out, and Matt Blair made the recovery. So the Vikings get it back. Just inside their own 25-yard line. Is one of the great players in the history of the Vikings, one of the few you can hark back to as being part of those purple people eaters. He's been around 11 years. On 1st and 10, Archie Manning remains the quarterback. Trouble on Archie. Dexter Manley pursuing Archie, and he gets the ball off to Joe Sensor, but there is going to be a loss on the play. A major loss back close to the 15.
Big Joe Sensor, he was one of the top tight ends in this game a few years back, had a very severe leg injury, and he just hasn't come back to the form that he once had. He has an interesting college statistic, Don.
Let me have it.
He started 4 years at Westchester State, and he started 4 years in basketball at Westchester State. And his field goal percentage from the field was .699. He broke Lou Alcindor, the then Lou Alcindor, Kareem now, Abdul-Jabbar, broke his career record.
Now, that is it.
2nd down and 19.
You didn't make that up, did you?
No, I didn't. Ooh, that one could have been picked off by Monty Coleman.
And if I made it up, I would have
Archie Manning goes down.
There you go,
Matt Blair. Not only has he been a fine linebacker over the years, he has blocked so many kicks over the years for these Vikings. They used to specialize in that under Bud Grant. And many times they would turn a defeat into a victory on the strength of a blocked field goal, a blocked punt. This was the man that usually provided the block. 7:50 remaining the 3rd quarter. 3rd down, 19. The Vikings at their 16-yard line. And they are trailing 31-3.
1 for 3.
From the shotgun, Manning hangs one up for Leo Lewis. And Leo Lewis comes down with it. Good move by Leo Lewis. Against Darrell Green. Archie Manning just threw that up there. Lewis could have called for a fair catch if he wanted to. But he gets the first down, 29-yard line of the Redskins on a 55-yard pickup.
That was one of those throw and hope sort of thing. He got Darrell Green turned around a little bit. Let's just watch it.
And that's easy to do because Green's looking right in his eyes, and Green doesn't know that ball's underthrown. That's Ricky Smith, not Darrell Green.
That's right. I thought it was Darrell Green. I thought it was 28.
Ricky Smith, was looking at his eyes. He didn't realize it was underthrown. You see that happen quite often. And it couldn't come at a better time for Minnesota. They were deep in their own territory looking at a punting situation.
At a 3rd and 19.
Ollie Brown, ice bag on the left knee. He was hit hard in the first quarter of tonight's game. First down and 10, 29-yard line, the Vikings.
Boom.
Anderson, good running. Anderson down to the 21-yard line, a pickup of 8. It'll be 2nd down and 2, and we're going to pause 5 seconds and allow our stations to identify themselves.
This is WJLA-TV, Washington's Channel 7.
Well, if you maybe have just joined us here at Minneapolis, the Vikings and the Redskins. The Vikings on the move. However, they trailed 31-3. It was all the Redskins in the first half. Joe Theismann, hot touchdown pass to Calvin Mohammed. Clinton Didier, a couple of recovered fumbles by Jacoby and Grant for the Redskins. That's the time remaining in the third quarter. 2nd down and 3, and Anderson gets the first down inside the 15-yard line. Alfred Anderson, the rookie from Baylor. As I mentioned earlier, one of the few bright spots for these Vikings this year.
I tell you, I really like his aggressiveness. They're blocking up front, but I wish he'd learn just a little wiggle wobble, you know, right when it's time they get hit. If he can just give a half a move here, he can step right out of this tackle, but he just puts his head down and tries to run over these guys. And at 6'1", 213 pounds, you're not going to be in this league too long trying to run over people.
That line blocking well. They're playing without Jim Huff at center. One of the fine centers in the league. He's injured. Wes Hamilton, Brent Boyd, 2 guards. They're not in there either. First down and 10 at the 14-yard line. Archie Manning. Darren Nelson. Nelson trips on the carpet down at the 15-yard line. There will be a loss of 1.
That was too bad, because I think if he had caught that ball, stay on his feet, well, I don't know whether he could have scored or not, but he would certainly picked up some more. Oh, Archie's got him moving a little bit out there, hasn't he? He hasn't.
Look at that man there. That, you know, he had a 26 long jump when he was at Stanford. He finished in the finals of the 100-meter. One of the great athletes of any day. Darren Nelson.
2nd down and 11. Archie Manning read it and tried to get it off, and he almost had it picked off by Ken Coffey. It was the blitz by Curtis Jordan right in Archie Manning's face, and Ken Coffey almost came away with the interception. I'll ask you, Don. What? You've watched this young man. Everyone, the whole country's talking about, is he big enough to play quarterback?
Oh, yeah, he certainly is. I think Doug could play well for this team. You look at the blitz coming in over here. There's nobody going to pick up that safety. They don't have that many people to block. But that's what Sensor just didn't. Yeah, he didn't get it there quick enough.
I tell you, Atlanta might take him because Eddie LeBaron, the general manager down there, would have to look up to him.
That's right. Now Doug can play. He really can. I think he's good.
3rd down and 11. Okowitz coming again on the blitz. And he got it right in there to Mike Jones. He took his eyes off the ball, looked at the defender. That would have been a first down. He threw that ball perfectly.
You know, in a game like this, that really, you hate to see anybody drop one, but they need some little spark that they can really do on their own. That last 50-yard gain was a throw them up and hope. Now they're looking at a 4th down.
And coach, the youngster, Les Steckel, has called timeout. Once again, he did this in the first half. They are going to go, obviously, on 4th down and long. Second-year man out of Tennessee State on a perfectly thrown ball from quarterback Archie Manning. Lets it get away to bring up 4th down. Darrell Green defensively there for the Redskins. One that could have been caught and perhaps could have been close to the first down.
Well, that's a case of where you've heard the phrase, hearing footsteps, and I think he heard a few.
So Archie Manning stays on, and the Vikings are not going to go with the field goal with 5:20 remaining in the third quarter. They're down 31-3. They're going to go from the shotgun. And they have not had many plays tonight of 11-yard gains. Manning fires it into the end zone. Leo Lewis is there. Touchdown on a 4th down and 11. Archie Manning under pressure. pressure, stepped back inside, rifled one in, and that was vintage Archie Manning. New Orleans Saints Archie Manning when he was a Pro Bowl quarterback on a losing football team.
He sure bought him some extra time. The guys weren't open when he was back there. They're not open. He's got some pressure. He comes back up, and he wasn't very open when he catches this ball. If you look, that's still pretty good coverage.
A pretty good throw off a wrong foot. You know, threw it off his right foot.
You bet.
Out of Ole Miss some 15 years ago, Archie Manning starting to make things respectable for the Vikings. Jan Stenerud for the conversion. Lewis now 3 receptions, 80 yards. One of them a 55-yarder that kept this drive alive. So Leo Lewis, 5'8", and 167 pounds. A little man in a big man's game and performing large tonight. We'll be back in a moment. The drive at his own 10-yard line. Got lucky on a 55-yard Hail Mary pass to Leo Lewis. And then finally on a 4th down and 11 connected to Leo Lewis again with a touchdown from 14 yards out. So the score is now 31-10. Jan Stenerud the kickoff. Keith Griffin driven back to the goal line. And Griffin out over the 20 to the 22-yard line, goes down in the arms of Robinson line. Reminder once again live, CFA College football continuing this Saturday with a doubleheader featuring 2 Southern rivalries starting at 12 o'clock Eastern. Number 11 ranked Auburn getting it on with interstate rival Alabama. Now if Auburn wins, they go on to the Sugar Bowl and they'll meet Nebraska there on New Year's Day, and you'll watch that here on ABC at 8 o'clock. If Alabama wins, LSU goes to the Sugar Bowl. Then at 3:30, following that game, Eastern Time, another interstate matchup. Southeastern Conference champion and number 3 ranked Florida meets number 12 Florida State. CFA College football right here on ABC, and it's a big Saturday. So be with us. First down and 10. The Redskins near their own 23-yard line. Theismann rifles one out to Muhammad. Down goes Calvin Muhammad. Gets about 4 out of it. Rufus Best was there defensively along with Tommy Hannon.
I tell you, Don, it must be something about styles of teams, because I watched Calvin Muhammad with the Raiders, and he had a lot of speed, but it appeared as if he had no hands. And ever since he's been here, he's looked like a polished receiver.
He burned Dallas the first week he was with the Redskins on an 80-yard touchdown pass, the opening play of the second half in a Redskin victory. They give him 5 out of it, so it's second down and 5. It's like a fire drill out there. They wind up with Joe Washington, and Theismann heads up, realizes that he had to get his man back.
All day that pass.
Didier.
All day, right.
In front of Rufus Best, who still is recalling the first play of the night when he was burned by Calvin Muhammad on a 68-yard touchdown pass. Nobody's going to get behind him again.
That's true. But they play so much zone, and they're not playing a double zone. So really what Joe's got to do, he just looks at his 2 safeties, and which way they go, he throws the other way. He had both guys out deep. He's wide on both sides.
Unfortunately, the Vikings, they just don't have the talent in their defensive secondary now to play man-to-man. They're going to get eaten up by trying to play the zone against this team with so many fine receivers.
Time remaining in the 3rd quarter. First down and 10, the Redskins. Crowd back in it. Washington. Joe Washington over the left side behind Big Joe Jacoby. It's about 3. It'll bring up second down and 7.
And the other thing is you can get away with playing a zone defense if you're getting some type of pass rush.
Yeah.
And they're getting no pass rush.
Yeah, they are glad to have this man back. He, as I have said many times before, he just changes gears for the Redskins. Usually they open with John Riggins, who will apparently not see any action tonight. They go with Riggins, pound. Then they bring in Joe Washington, and it just changes things for them offensively. And we'll see that throughout the remainder of the season, in all probability the playoffs. Second and 7. It's Washington again. He cut back, slides under Tommy Hannon for a gain of a couple. It'll be 3rd down and 4.
It was a few times I saw a blitz.
Yeah. It was my belief last season that the Redskins couldn't beat the Raiders, or even this year a team like the Seattle Seahawks, without Joe Washington in the lineup. When those teams have the defensive linemen to play up there with Jacoby and Grimm and that big, strong defensive line, and you need a back who has the quickness to bounce outside and improvise, and I really don't think they can beat those teams without Joe Washington in the lineup.
They have a man now in there, Jeff Moore, number 30. They like to use him out of the backfield. He's a good receiver. They like him in this situation. 3rd and 4. Theismann gets it to McGrath. And the Redskins are starting to play some of the players that don't see all that much action. McGrath, that was his 9th reception on the year. So he gets the first down, keeps Washington's drive alive.
You can't accuse Joe Gibbs of sitting on the lead. Guess he wants that 7 back that the Vikings got a few minutes ago. That's Joe Gibbs. You know, about 10 years ago, my son had his 4th birthday, Jason, and Joe Gibbs was a coach at USC, and he sold me a dog. It was a Rhodesian Ridgeback, and they used him to hunt lions in Rhodesia. And I haven't seen a lion around my house since I've had that dog.
Thankfully, didn't eat Jason.
No lions in your house. Joe
First and 10.
Oh, they picked
Wide open is Art Monk. Could have been a little bit of a pick. You're right, Don. There was a crossing pattern, and it looked like a Viking had trouble getting around the other Washington Redskins.
It was a terrific crackback block. Oh, boy.
Monk gets another first down. 5 receptions on the night, 87 on the season thus far. Looking ahead to a record set in 64 of 101 by Charlie Hennigan of the Houston Oilers.
One of the things that's gone down in the last few games is Theismann's average yards per pass. He's always been up around 8 the last few years. These last few games, he's averaged just a little under 7.
He's got Charlie Brown back. You watch the average go up.
It will go up.
Time to hit Mohammed on the up, I think.
How about giving it to Joe?
So Washington clips inside the 35-yard line, a gain of about 3 to bring up 2nd and 7. Scott Studwell, Walker Lee Ashley, a second-year linebacker out of Penn State, is in there for Dennis Johnson. He's got a lot of friends, even though he's by himself. If you're that big, you got a lot of friends. 6'7", 295, senior member of that defensive unit, 12 years, and there have been some brilliant years over that career.
He's been ailing a little bit, had a little stomach problem.
Missed last week's game against Buffalo, hospitalized with a little stomach ailment. 2nd and 7. Looking for Monk. 6th reception of the night. And he'll get the first down to the 25-yard line as Theismann now has thrown 12 consecutive completions.
It's like playing catch. It's like what you call your old pass drill. When you go out there and you throw against the zone, if you got time to throw against the zone, you're going to hit them.
Final seconds of the 3rd quarter. The Redskins on another drive. They lead 31-10 over the Minnesota Vikings. And they have the first down at the 25-yard line. We'll be back with 4th quarter action. But right now, this word from our local stations. Jay Simpson watching the Redskins methodically move downfield. They have a first down and 10 at the Vikings 25-yard line. We open the 4th quarter with the Redskins on top, 31-10. Joe Washington. The Vikings stretch it out, and Washington sees there is going to be nothing to be gained. He slides in for a 1-yard pickup. Doug Martin makes sure defensively there for Minnesota. Let's take a look at the halftime stats. At time of possession, the only thing favorable to Minnesota, they were trailing at that point 31-0. They still have an edge in time of possession, but numerically it's all in the favor of the Washington Redskins. The turnovers, of course, hurting. And Bill Theismann now looking over a 2nd down and 9. Art Monk is wide open.
They just not covering it.
Flag is down. Art Monk is down. 7th reception of the night. He has been phenomenal over the past 4 games. Art Monk has had 29 receptions in the last 4 games. He has 7 here tonight.
I hope they don't take it away from him.
No, it's indicated against the Vikings.
Well, let's see now. That means he needs about 12 receptions to tie Charlie Hannigan for the all-time one-season reception record, which is 101. This has been one of those years, Frank. It seems as if every record has fallen. Peyton broke Jim Brown's career record. Of course, Marino is about to break some
Illegal
records.
contact, number 47, defense, automatic first down.
And we got Art Monk going after Charlie Hannigan's record, and whatever that guy's name out in Anaheim, California, going after your boy's record.
SMU graduate, Eric
Dickerson, he needs to average 150
That is
24 yards for the rest of the season per game, and your record is history, Mr.
I got a feeling it's going to be history. Yeah, we see them in the last game of the season against the 49ers, and I wouldn't be surprised the way he's running.
I want you to go down there and smile gracefully.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised the way he's running if he doesn't already have it then. But if he doesn't, I'm going to be giving the 49ers a pep talk.
They took that catch away from Mark Monk and took the penalty.
First down on the foul. Bill Washington. Bill Washington to the 16-yard line, where he picks up 3. It'll be second down and 7. You know, you'd hate to look ahead, but you take away that catch, accepting the penalty to get the first down. Wonder maybe, hopefully, you won't be looking back at the final game of the season when they entertain the Cardinals, saying what might have been.
Well, you got to go. The best deal, of course, was to take that penalty, automatic first down.
No question.
No question. And it is a team sport.
Gain of 3, second down and 7. Bill Washington once again.
I'd like to take credit. I heard Yellow 30 again that, you know, when I was scouting early in the game, you know, if I was a defensive captain, I'd have been running up to the left side of the defensive line whenever I heard Yellow 30. I think I would have been burned for about 5 touchdowns tonight because
you'd be in the Continental League next week.
They've called Yellow 30 about 60 times, and they've run every play you can imagine off it.
Mark Mosley getting ready as the Redskins are confronted with a third down, a long one. The 3 tight ends are in. Didier, Anthony Jones, the rookie from Wichita State, and Don Warren. Yellow 30. Offside. Wamsley over the right side. Piled up short of the first down, I believe.
Well, these Viking defensive players will be waking up tonight hearing Yellow 30, Yellow 30. Nightmares.
They have audibles different ways. Some of them are colors, some of them on numbers. The quarterback get in the habit of calling the same number, and you can't. You know, you got to sometimes force yourself to do it. Get a
That's
dummy
short
number.
of the first down, and we'll see Mark Mosley.
It's funny how that is. I recall Joe Ferguson used to get accustomed to calling it on 2, and the Jets were killing us, beating us off the ball, and Reggie McKenzie yelled at him and said, you better call it off 1, and nobody jumped. And who jumped? Reggie McKenzie.
The quarterbacks do get in habits.
Yeah, they do.
They get hung up on 2s and 4s and 3s and 5s. 27-yard attempt from Mark Mosley, who has already hit from 30 yards out. Wolves catches the crossbar. No good.
Oh, Mark.
Mark Mosley misses from 27 yards out. And the Vikings defense has prevailed again. Just barely, but they have. We'll be right back. Games for the Minnesota Vikings. They have lost all of them by more than 20 points. They are trailing now by 21 points. And the Pittsburgh Steelers was the only team that went 4 straight, losing by 20. And I hate to tell you, one of the great coaches of the game, Chuck Noll. That was the last team, rather. Chuck Noll with 1-13. First went on to go to 4 Super Bowls, too. First and 10, the Vikings. Ball just inside their own 20-yard line. There you go. Alfred Anderson, wide open field, and that's good running.
That was his little wiggle.
Over the 35-yard line. He just ripped through the arms of Monty Coleman for a 16-yard pickup. Good hard runner.
That's a great play because they had the receiver on this side of the line and the scrimmage running up, and they just hit the back out of the backfield. It's too bad that Darren Nelson is on the bench with ice pack on his knee because with a sprained left knee, because he's the guy you would like to get the ball to and give him a little room to try to make something happen.
Well, the injuries continue for the Vikings. There's Darren Nelson. Had a good first half into the third quarter, and now ice on the left knee. 36-yard line, first down. Archie Manning breathing a little life into the Vikings, taking over from Wade Wilson here in the second half. Underneath move, and trying to get it to Leo Lewis. It'll bring up second and 10. Want to remind you, Wide World of Sports, 5 o'clock Eastern and Pacific, 4 o'clock Central, Saturday, December the 8th. Now, that's a week from Saturday. ABC's Wide World of Sports returning with the International Professional Figure Skating Championships from Madison Square Garden in New York City. All the beauty and grace of figure skating. Wide World of Sports will be seen at 5 o'clock Eastern and Pacific, as I mentioned, right here on ABC. So be with us for the return of Wide World of Sports.
It's a sport I never really saw much as a kid. I really enjoy watching figure skating. It really is pretty good.
Spectacular.
Good athletes.
Second down and 10, Minnesota at their own 36-yard line. Draw play. This is Alan Rice, the rookie from Baylor, 5th-round draft pick. Alfred Anderson, his teammate at Baylor, was a 3rd-round pick, and they're both here with the Vikings.
And that's the one of the problems Les Steckel was stuck with this year. They're in an admitted rebuilding program, and all he had was a number 3 and a number 5 draft choice. Of course, they didn't sign their number 1 draft choice, and they didn't have a number 2 or 4. So it's pretty tough to start a rebuilding program with when your highest choice is a 3rd, then you got to go to a 5th.
Said it earlier, he inherited a job from a legend, but he didn't inherit the legendary people. 3rd down and 8. Kramer. Oh, yes. Manning to Lewis.
It was a nice comeback block. That
Lewis
time.
having quite a night. Gets out of bounds inside the 45-yard line of the Redskins. 1st and 10 Minnesota on a 17-yard pickup.
I think that was Anderson that came back. He's going to have a terrific block you're going to see coming up right here. Wham. Flip to the outside.
Real nice run. I think Leo Lewis and Alfred Anderson has earned Les Steckel's respect today. He was telling us earlier in this morning how Darren Nelson had earned his respect because after running a 300-yard dash, he collapsed. This minute he went all out to the end.
Leo Lewis having a big night, replacing another Viking, good receiver, Sammy White, who could not play tonight, along with Ted Brown and Tommy Kramer. Reverse, a reverse.
Here it comes. Got it set up.
Mike Jones throws the wide receiver. Mike Jones inside the 10-yard line. Opportunistic time to call that play. Off the Redskins pursuing, as they love to do, came back against it, and Mike Jones has a 1st down goal to go at the 9.
The beautiful reverse. Lyman did a good job getting down there, staying with the block. Didn't get much of a block there
Did you
from
see
the
Archie
QB.
Manning?
Archie trying to. He threw an arm out there, and arm's illegal now.
There he is, who cost perhaps a touchdown earlier when he took his eyes off the pass and forced a field goal. And now, at the 9-yard line, Minnesota down 31-10 as a 1st down and goal to go. Anderson, tough sledding against the Redskins when you get down close. 3rd in the National Football Conference against the rush, and they might be 1st inside the 10.
I tell you, I like this kid's aggressiveness, but I said before, I wish he'd get a little wiggle wobble. He's going to be getting up like this a few more times before his career's over.
He doesn't wiggle. He's going to start wobbling.
Here's someone who doesn't wiggle wobble either.
Yeah.
He goes about 240.
Yeah,
he's got a little. Yeah, he's 240. He's got a little different offensive line. Normally, they make sure when he hits someone, it's a defensive back. They take care of the defensive lineman.
Anderson was shaken up. He is coming out. Maurice Turner, first 3 man out of Utah State, comes in. Number 24. He's in there with another rookie from Baylor, 36, Alan Rice. Manning. Almost picked off by Ken Coffey.
That was an interesting stat. The running backs from Baylor, of course, the Steelers have a couple, and Frank Pollard and Walter Abercrombie. There's Dennis Gentry up in Chicago, and Greg Hawthorne at New England. He's an H-back, but he's really a running back.
Alfred Anderson is Baylor's all-time career scoring leader.
No other college has produced 6 active running backs.
3rd down, goal to go.
Hard to believe that SC doesn't have many running backs in the league today.
He's got 4.
He's got one that makes up for a lot of them in Marcus Allen.
Yeah. Got a lot of tackles playing, I can tell you that, offensively.
Charlie White, Mosey Tutu, and Lynn Kane. Boy, I got the stats tonight.
On 3rd down, goal to go, and it's blocked by Gerald Grant, knocked away. It'll be 4th down, goal to go. And there's no question, I don't think anyway that they're going to go. They've been doing it all night. They started actually in the 1st quarter. Going on 4th down and short. They did it again successfully in the 2nd quarter. We saw him score a touchdown shot to Leo Lewis to make the score 31-10 on a 4th down. Wilson left the game 8 of 17 for 60 yards and 2 interceptions. Manning is 6 of 13, 91 yards, and he has the 1 touchdown. And we have 9:09 remaining in the game. All right. Mike Jones is split right. Leo Lewis to the left. Look out. All right. Great shot. Leo Lewis is having a big night. Another touchdown catch. Vernon Green drove him out of the end zone, but give half of that touchdown to Archie Manning. You bet. They were breathing down his back. He rifled it perfectly to Leo Lewis.
Leo couldn't miss that one, could he? That ball was there when he turned around. Hit him right in the... Archie knows his pressure's coming in here, and he just zips it. Leo hadn't turned around. He almost ran into his offensive back got in his way.
That's a great pass.
That was. Leo. There you go, Leo.
Well, Vernon Dean was waiting for Leo to make a move, and the ball was there.
That's right.
Not bad. A couple of touchdowns. 2 of them now have come on 4th down. The holder is the punter, Greg Coleman. And here's John Stenerud for the conversion. That's Lewis's high in terms of receptions for any game this season. So Minnesota now trailing 31-17. They have provided all the scoring here in the second half.
You just see it. Watch Leo doesn't even turn right there. There's just that ball was there, wasn't it? Vernon didn't have much to do with it.
Archie Manning half caught that one for Leo Lewis, but the youngster is having a big night. We'll be right back. Got a sellout crowd here in Minnesota tonight. We'll do no shows, but it's a cold night. The game is being televised locally and ready to receive the kickoff with John Stenerud. Keith Griffin at the 2-yard line. 42-year-old John Stenerud. He can still put it down there right around the goal line. And he hangs it high and puts it right at the goal line. Keith Griffin. Flag is down as Griffin is out close to the 28-yard line. And the flag is down at the 30. And there is a Redskin very slow getting up. Holding, and this time the Redskins will be backed up. And while they move them back, I want to remind you, later tonight on Nightline with Ted Koppel, working at home. More people are doing it with computers, but are they losing valuable job benefits? That's tonight on Nightline. And they're going to take up a subject that's affecting many people in this country. You'll see it after your late local news on most of these ABC stations. Understand that Alfred Anderson, the fine rookie running back we've been watching tonight from Baylor, has bruised ribs. Not sure whether he'll be back.
Well, I think if they can do him a service by not putting him back in as hard as he runs.
Well, they don't have many folks. They only have 2 rookie running backs remaining active. That's the time remaining in the game. First down and 10. Theismann from his 17. Oh, what a great pass into Calvin Mohammed. Right between 2 defenders, Tommy Hannon and Joey Browner. Theismann was perfect with it.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going for. You're not going to see a finer pass than you're going to see there.
And not bad defense.
Really
The
not.
guy's covered.
That's about as close as they've been on a lot of them for a while.
Oh, boy, he got his feet in.
Has Joe still got his completion streak going? Or did he have an incompletion? He's about 12 or 13 in a row now.
Calvin Mohammed has been quite a find for the Redskins. I'm telling you, I never thought he could end up being this fine a receiver.
He had ended up, so he's going to get better.
Theismann 8 of 8 here in this half. The first down at the 38-yard line. Joe Washington. Washington hit at the line of scrimmage. Pounds his way out over the 40 for a couple of yards. Theismann now 13 in a row, but he is 8 of 8 here in the second half.
Oh, Joe runs like a little scooter, doesn't he?
He's got that
real
really,
low.
Yeah.
He just scoots around. He's been doing it a lot of years. Overcome a lot of injuries. Had 2 knee operations on both knees, small operations this offseason.
Theismann coming off the game against Buffalo, where he was good on nearly 79% of his passes. 26 of 33, is now 18 of 22 tonight. Second down and 8. Blitz is on. Theismann ducks under it. But he goes down at the 37-yard line. He'll only be losing yardage back to the original line of scrimmage. Doug Martin was there first defensively for the Vikings.
The fans got kind of fired up. That's only the 14th time they've seen this all year.
Well, this whole half, they've been watching their team move the ball down the field. Anything can happen. We've seen stranger things happen. 2 touchdowns, and we'd have a tie game. We go into overtime.
So it'll be third down and long now for the Redskins. That's the scoring we have watched. Washington leading 31-0 at halftime. All the scoring here in the second half has been the Vikings. Third and long. Theismann again under pressure, and he'll go down again as Neil Elshire. Some satisfaction out of that. Waived by the Redskins at 81. And he was a teammate of another free agent, Joe Jacoby. Beats Jacoby for the sack, albeit Theismann could not find a receiver.
They're getting it fired up.
I tell you, even the offensive players on the sideline for the first time tonight, they look fired up.
Oh, and the stadium has really come alive as Leo Lewis, having a brilliant night, drops to receive the punt of Jeff Hayes.
All right. Keep containment. Don't let him run. Jeff Hayes, that is.
As he did in the first quarter. Hayes, beautiful punt. Hangs high. Leo Lewis at the 21-yard line. And he gets in trouble at the 23, and down he goes.
Good
The
effort by
Vikings
Leo.
get the football back. They have 6:50 remaining in the game. They trail 31-17. But as their coach said, Les Steckel this morning, they just won't quit. Talking it over on the sidelines. They've had a couple of meetings tonight. Floyd Reese in there, defensive coordinator.
Formerly a great defensive player at UCLA. Coached with Les Steckel as an assistant coach when I was in San Francisco with the 49ers.
Steckel came to the Vikings under Bud Grafton's assistant from the 49ers and Bill Walsh in 1979. Here the 23-yard line, first down, Minnesota. Archie Manning has ignited the Vikings here in the second half, and they have played superb defense. Wide open. Same man, Leo Lewis. This time working against Vernon Dean. He comes down on a 19-yard pickup and another first down for Minnesota.
Yeah.
Well, the key to all of this is that Archie Manning is getting time to throw the ball.
He's ignited them, hasn't he? You know, he started off slowly, but Leo's got that speed going. Come back. This ball again is well thrown.
He's got Charlie Brown numbers. Leo Lewis does tonight.
Yeah, he's getting with them.
He's got Vernon Dean thinking deep.
Vernon Dean has been the most consistent of these Washington Redskins defensive backs.
Certainly in terms of interceptions. Archie Manning 8 of 15, 118 yards, a couple of touchdowns. On first down from the 43-yard line. Pressure on Archie Manning. He's hammered by Charlie Mann, but it'll be ruled as an incomplete pass.
I think Archie rolled a little bit too far. That was one of those throwback passes, and he got just outside of his tackle and allowed Charlie, gave him the angle on him, so he just got right in front of him and knocked it down.
It has been a lot of pressure on this Redskins defense in the second half. You may not think so because they were down, they were up 31-zip, but when you're playing against a team that you know you got to stop them 4 downs, not 3 downs, it's a whole different psychological thing for the
different game,
players.
isn't it? Yeah. And of course, too, at 31-0 at halftime, the Redskins go into the locker room. A week from Sunday, they have to go down and play Dallas. And a week after that, they're going to entertain St. Louis in Washington. They've had a little sag. Second down and 10. Reverse. And they're trying to reverse. Mike Jones once again. Jones tries to get the first down, but he's hit right at midfield, 3 yards short. It'll be third down and 3 as Monty Coleman drives Mike Jones out of bounds.
Well, if that had gone big, that would have been the old first time it's your fault, second time it's my fault. They played that one a lot better, picked up just a few yards. They're going to throw everything at them. I think the Redskins credit, when you do get up 31-0, you are going to have a little sag in there. And it's not, they are playing a lot of new guys or a lot of guys that don't play regularly. But when they get it going, they are awfully tough.
They bring in the prevent defense, the Redskins. I think they might be a little careful blitzing Archie Manning. He's seen so many blitzes over 14 years. They tried to blitz him down near the goal line, and he got a touchdown pass into Leo Lewis on a 4th down earlier. Leo Lewis now split to the right of Archie Manning. 3rd and 3.
There it is.
That's Mike Jones, and he'll have the first down at the 45-yard line.
Mike Jones did a number on Darrell Green. He went into motion. He got right about to where the quarterback was. He stopped, and he went back the other way, and Darrell Green kept running.
I didn't see it.
It's 31-17, but this is a different football team that has come out in the second half, sparked by Archie Manning, and not to mention a defensive effort that has kept the Redskins off the scoreboard here in the second half.
And we certainly don't want to forget the effort by Leo Lewis. He's been making it happen with Archie.
First down, 45-yard line of the Redskins. Manning had to dump that off to Allen Rice. He was just knocked flat by a hard-charging Dave Butts. And that's a lot of man. They're big across that front. Butts, 295, Mann, 260, Grant, 275, Dexter Manley, 250.
You know, we're talking about a time of possession, Frank. Here's where it counts. I know those Washington Redskins defensive players, they have to be getting a little weary.
I was just thinking that they are those great big guys. I'm not saying they're not in good shape, but that might be it. They're a little tired.
They've been out there a long time tonight.
And a credit to that offensive line, sort of a patchwork offensive line of the Vikings. Second down and 10. Manning. And Joe Spencer comes down inside the 20-yard line with another Archie Manning completion.
That was a terrific one of those throw that thing up in a hurry. Spencer made a good recovery, didn't he? Watch this.
Yeah, you're talking about an adjustment to the ball. Now, this is where all those years of playing basketball has come in handy for Spencer, get position on his man, come down with the rebound.
he almost broke loose, didn't he?
Boy, he's one of the fine tight ends up until he damaged his knee in '82, had surgery, off-season, missed the entire '83 season. But in 1981, Joe Spencer caught 79 passes for 8 touchdowns. And he's starting to get it back again, getting his confidence once again. Big first down by Joe Spencer. First down, Vikings, 19-yard line.
See if Lewis can work on Dean again.
Underneath. And it goes to Malarkey, former 49er. And Malarkey was inside the 10-yard line, short of the first down by about a half a yard.
We got one problem that may be happening here. Number 87, Leo Lewis, went into the end zone, started walking back and stopped and grabbed the back of both his legs. He could be cramping up a little bit. He's been doing a lot of running here tonight.
He really has.
Second down short. Could be a waste down for Archie Manning because they're in a 4-down mode. Could be one. He'll try to get it into the end zone.
Well, he's got Vernon Dean one-on-one. Leo Lewis, I'd go to him.
No, they look for the first down, and they get it with Allen Rice.
My God.
Allen Rice to the 2-yard line, and boy, this crowd is in it now.
I just can't believe this game, to tell you the truth. The Skins jumped out to such an early lead. Early, I guess they did, the first play of the ball game. Now, sitting down here, these guys going to score. It's going to have to be a ball game.
If they get it in, get the conversion, there'll be a touchdown and a conversion away from tying it up, and they were down 31-0 at halftime.
They've shut the Redskins out in the second half. I just didn't think that would be possible.
Well, maybe still moving, down close to 3 minutes. Both teams have 2 timeouts remaining. If we get that touchdown, we get the conversion, well, we're going to get the onside kick. But the Redskins do not give it up easy down here. Play action by Archie Manning. Fires it into the hands of Malarkey, incomplete.
That's one Malarkey should have had. The ball was there.
Esteckel fine young man, and he really is proud of this team. He knows they're inadequate personnel-wise by injuries. There
Right
is
there.
Malarkey, but he is so proud of the way that they have continued to play in every game. That one should have been caught. It was in slow motion. It actually had a little more smoke on it than it appeared to in slow motion.
Archie set that one up really well with a good play fake that time. You see a good quarterback come in. He faked both his backs, put it on his hip.
Second down, goal to go. Play action again.
There he is all by himself.
The man in the corner. Oh, no. No, they're saying no. That was Censor saying he trapped it. The official right on top of it.
Boy, Censor was open early, too.
He sure was. He waited to get the ball to him. I'm just glad to see Joe Censor playing like this. He's one of the great tight ends in the game when he's healthy.
Goes to the inside and then comes back to the outside.
Wide open.
Oh, was he open?
Wide open.
Archie was a little busy with Redskins in his face, however.
Ooh.
Close. The official was right on top of it.
Oh.
I call that one awfully close.
Oh,
In any event, third down, goal to go. The ball inside the 3-yard line.
Quarterback draw, Archie.
Alan Wright fumbled the ball. He fumbled it out of bounds. It will be a touchback. And the Redskins will have the ball at the 20-yard line. Oh, what a bad moment. This team right back in it. If they get that touchdown, Alan Rice, the rookie from Baylor, fumbles out of bounds. Automatic touchback. The Redskins will get it at the 20-yard line.
There he is. He wants to turn up. Had a little trouble getting up. He's there. Put the ball away. Oh, nice tackle. He was hit right on the ball. Stripped him of the ball.
How many times over the years have you watched the Redskins force the key turnover? And this young man, I call him young because he thinks young, Archie Manning, has really put on a show here in the second half. We'll be right back. No matter the outcome, it has been a shining second half for the Minnesota Vikings, battling back against a far superior team personnel-wise. And they have just lost a golden opportunity with the fumble into the end zone for the touchback. That's still Washington on 1st and 10 from the 20-yard line, getting 5. It'll be second down at 5. Both teams have 2 timeouts remaining and 2:21 remaining in the fourth quarter. And Minnesota will use a timeout. Otherwise, the Redskins could just tick off those 21 seconds on the clock. And Minnesota very alertly uses their timeout.
One of the sad things about that drive, O.J., is they had 2 touchdown opportunities before he fumbled.
One drop. Well, yeah. It goes back to the drop. The big drop by the tight end hurt
Archie,
more.
you played that. Said it was too bad.
I tell you, I know what Joe Gibbs is thinking. He just got Joe Washington back. He doesn't want to use Joe Washington in a muffled situation like this, but his biggest problem is his other top running back, Keith Griffith, has a penchant for fumbling the football, so he can't put him in the game right now, so they're going to have to use Joe Washington as their muscle back. And, of course, Riggins, I guess they're just resting him for next week.
How about Dallas a week from Sunday, then St. Louis a week after that?
He's going to have a nice long rest.
Minnesota on the blitz, getting right in the face of Theismann. He hustled one out there to Muhammad incomplete.
Well,
third down and 5.
You wonder why the Vikings did not play with this intensity in the first half. Maybe because the Redskins had some intensity then.
Yeah, they could have.
I'll tell you, though, when you're 3 and 10, you come in, Washington, the very first play of the game, Theismann goes back, 68-yard touchdown pass to Calvin Muhammad. You have to think, well, the whole season is snake bit. And then something happened at halftime, and they came out, really toughened up on defense and changed quarterbacks to Archie Manning. Made a big difference, Tom.
I think with Jeff Hayes ran on the punt, too. The fourth down, that hurt him at the first part of the game.
3rd and 5. Minnesota down to 1 timeout. Theismann complete. Gets it over the middle to McGrath. First down, Washington. And clock now ticking down. The Vikings are not going to use their 1 timeout. And we'll get the 2-minute warning. Joe Theismann hasn't been on the field that much in the second half. 1 timeout. 2 minutes remain in the game. The Redskins have a 31-17 lead, and the Vikings will go home tonight thinking what might have been. Washington out to close to the 39-yard line, a gain of 7. It'll be 2nd down and 3. Reminder again, Washington will play a week from Sunday, Dallas at Dallas. Then they will have St. Louis at home for their finale. The Giants play the Jets this Sunday, and then they'll be in St. Louis, and then they'll play New Orleans on Saturday, December the 15th. Dallas, of course, has Philadelphia this week in that game with Washington. Then they'll play Miami December the 17th, and we'll be bringing you that game on our final Monday night telecast. Any one of those 8 and 5 teams, the Redskins, the Giants, or Dallas, know that if they win the 3 remaining games, they're going to be in the playoffs. Joe Washington sent over the left side, short of the first down by about a yard. Theismann, 79% completion. Earlier this year, he was 85% against the Indianapolis Colts, and last week he was 78.8. So if he doesn't put it up in the air again, tonight will be his 2nd highest percentage of completions of his career. Remarkable young man. 3 years in Canada, drafted originally, 4th-round pick, Miami. Redskins traded a 1st-round draft pick for him in '74. Didn't start until 1978, but he has been great since then. These will be the updated standings. Washington moving a half game at top. Dallas and the Giants. They, of course, still to play this week. And St. Louis, like the Giants, Dallas and Washington, know that if they can win their final 3, they too will be in the playoffs. Something's got to give because Dallas plays Washington, St. Louis plays the Giants and Washington. So somebody's not going to win all 3.
That's right.
Sorted that out.
That's good. That was good.
Theismann on the night, 19 of 24, 223 yards, a couple of touchdowns.
Started out with a 68-yarder, first play of the game.
Time remaining in the game. Joe Washington. He goes over the top. I don't believe he gets the first down. Seconds continue to tick off. Now they'll stop the clock as they unpile. 57 seconds remaining. And what might have been. Down there with about 3 minutes to go, Allen Rice fumbled the ball through the end zone, touchback. Had they been able to score, they would have brought it with a touchdown and a conversion. A remarkable comeback by the Vikings here in the 2nd half.
They're not going to get beat by 20 points, so they didn't tie the old Pittsburgh record.
And Washington, well, at least there was a preliminary indication, did get the first down. Redskins getting healthy at the right time of the year. They have Joe Washington back. They have Charlie Brown back. Didier is healthy once again. Rick Donnelly at center has replaced an all-pro. Jeff Bostic has done a very good job. They've moved Mark May out to replace an injured George Stark at tackle. Ken Huff has played well, starting for Mark May at right guard. They're getting ready. They are going to be tough down the line.
And they're letting it kick off.
Theismann will have all the time on the 30-second clock to kick off that he can.
All right, dig this, everybody who's still out there. This telecast is presented by the authority of the National Football League.
Oh, come on.
It is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the National Football League is prohibited.
And a way to go. Joe Gibbs watches his Redskins go to 9-5, atop the Eastern Division of the NFC, at least until Sunday, by a half a game over the Giants in Dallas. For Theismann, Friday night, 19 of 24, 223, 2 touchdowns. And a big night for this man, Archie Manning. Final word in a moment.